In WHB, Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Jack Johnson heading up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you. We'll talk some football today, certainly. Hall of Fame game coming up tonight, 7 o'clock right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Off day for the Chiefs at training camp, off day for the Kansas City Royals today. Not an off day for Major League Baseball with the trade deadline going on. A lot of moves yesterday, last night, and on into this morning, including one of the latest moves that literally just came down a couple of minutes ago, and that is the San Diego Padres making a big move to land Mason Miller from the Oaklamento A's, Sackland A's. The A's are getting back Leotis DeVries, the number 3 overall prospect in baseball.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they gave up Mason Miller and J.P. Sears from the A's to the Padres, and the Padres make a big move to solidify their, not only solidify, but continue to strengthen their bullpen. Now they've got Suarez and Miller in the back of their bullpen, and the A's get back the number 3 overall prospect in all of baseball, which, by the way, I was trying to keep track as much as possible, and I believe not only that Love is the answer, but now it's Buster only says Robert Suarez is looking to be moved. So they may be moving Suarez.
Wow.
So they are changing out Suarez on an expiring deal for Mason Miller with team control. This is essentially what they're doing with the back of their bullpen. Suarez heading off into free agency. I believe this is the last year for Suarez. Jack, Suarez is a free agent after this year, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so they're moving on from Suarez, who's got an expiring contract, and they're bringing in, and Dylan Cease, same thing, free agent at the end of this year, so rental player, to bring in Mason Miller that's got years of team control. So they're changing out their closer, giving up the number 3 overall prospect. But if my tracking is correct, DeVries is only the second top 100 prospect that has been traded so far in all of these different deals. Joan Duran from Minnesota to Philadelphia brought back the number 56 overall prospect in Eduardo Tate, the catcher from Philadelphia. So the Minnesota Twins land him, and now the A's get the number 3 overall prospect. So only 2 guys. There's been a lot of prospects in top 10 organizations, right?
Sure.
This is the number 5 prospect in this organization, number 7 prospect in this organization, things like that. But as far as overall top 100 prospects go, I believe there are now 2 that have been traded so far in the trade deadline.
Suarez has an opt-out. He has 2 years left on his contract, but they're both player options.
I see. What's the contract for the player option? What's the
$8 million a year?
Okay, yeah, he's gonna opt out.
So he'll opt out of that. So it's basically
he's gonna get much more.
Basically a free agent.
Basically a free agent.
Estevez got $10 million a year this offseason. Suarez is going to 150% of that.
I don't know if the A's were trying to trade Mason Miller, but when you get that offer, I understand that Leo DeVries is 18 years old, but you get the 3rd best prospect in all of baseball. I think you make that move for I know it's an amazing reliever. It's still a reliever.
Yeah.
We're not talking a top-end starter. I don't know about you, Jack, and I'm typically very... I think prospects can be overvalued sometimes. I think we overvalue top prospects. We've seen so many miss. But I think this is a risk that I would take, and I'm more risk-adverse in this instance.
Well, I just want to say real quick for those that Leo DeVries, 2023 was the number 1 international free agent, and everybody in baseball wanted him, and the Padres paid him $4.2 million to sign him. So
that was when he was 16, by the way.
Yeah, so $4.2 million for DeVries from the Padres. But Jack, go ahead, man. Sorry, I just wanted to put that out there that he was one of the most coveted players 2 years ago in the international free agent signing. Like Roki Sasaki last year was the most coveted guy. DeVries the year before that and got $4.2 million as a signing bonus as a 16-year-old.
Well, this continues to show how expensive relievers have been over the last 24 hours.
Yes.
And I will always say this for teams that are 20 games under 500, how valuable is your closer to you?
Mm-hmm.
You're not. It doesn't matter.
It's a beautiful house in Hawaii, and you don't have money to get there.
Exactly.
We got this beach house in Hawaii, but I can't get vacation, and we don't have enough money to fly there. But it's a beautiful beach house if we could ever enjoy it. What's the point?
The Padres too. They do this Preller does this every single trade deadline. Just goes all in. But this was one of the moves. I mean, as good as Mason Miller is, he's going to throw 103, 104. I didn't look at the Padres and say, man, they need to replace Robert Suarez and need to bring in a closer like Mason Miller. And Mason Miller's not the same guy that he was last year. Not that the Padres need to worry about young prospects they're giving up. They're clearly in the boat now of every offseason we're going to spend a lot of money and we're going to try to trade for big-name guys. But this is a good pickup for the Athletics. They're already building a great young core.
Dude.
And you get to add more to this just in time for them to finally play in Vegas down the road when all these guys are going to be in their prime.
Kurtz, Wilson, Butler in center, and you got now DeVries if he comes up in 27's ETA.
Clark,
who's made some amazing catches for the A's. But you got a really interesting group of younger guys there, exciting players. And when they hit Vegas, you would hope that the ownership group would want to spend a little bit more money in Vegas. And so maybe this is the start of the A's resurgence in the West over the next few years. Mason Miller is under contract until 2029.
Yeah.
So you got him for 26, 27, 28, and 29 if you're San Diego, if you're the Padres, and Suarez was going to be a free agent. So the amount of money you were going to pay Suarez is now going to be weighted heavily on other players, with Mason Miller still a year away from arbitration, and so making league minimum, next year, as opposed to probably $15, $20 million. So $750,000 for Mason Miller as opposed to the $15, $20 million a year that Suarez may get. Again, Esteves got $10 million on the open market. Suarez is going to get probably 15 or a little bit more. We'll see what he ends up going for. But that's a huge move today, because that's the star of any of the prospects that are being traded, the number 3 overall prospect in baseball. And I don't know if we can remember a trade deadline that brought back a top 5 prospect in all of baseball. I mean, Will Myers, but he was an offseason deal. That was not a trade deadline deal.
Yeah,
I'm talking about a July 31st trade deadline that you get back a top 5, top 10 prospect. Like, I really thought that...
What does CeCe Sabathia bring back?
Carson Charles? I don't remember what...
I'm trying to think of, like, big... for trade deadline acquisition.
Right.
See, that was
he's one of the best because of how amazing he was when they acquired him.
It's obviously that one stands out in memory.
What they got back for him, I'm not sure.
Zach Greinke was obviously a big trade deadline acquisition at one point for him when he went to the Brewers. As what did he end up going to?
Well, he was Royals traded him in the offseason.
I know, but he had a trade deadline. He went for the Angels. He had a trade deadline move. But by the way, it's one of those situations where you had to be blown away for the Athletics for Mason Miller. They were blown away. But if you're the Padres, I think you make the move too, because if you were going to pay Robert Suarez, that's money you can free up, and you still have a closer until 2029. You're trying to win now. An 18-year-old isn't necessarily going to be in your win now mode. I think it's a win-win for both parties here.
Greinke was a July 31st trade deadline twice. Milwaukee to the Angels.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Got back Johnny Helwig, Ariel Pena, and Gene Segura, and then traded from the Diamondbacks to the Houston Astros for Seth Beer, J.B. Bukauskas, Corbin Martin, and Josh Rojas.
Seth Beer was a great name, had a great couple of games, I remember.
I don't know, I kind of feel like J.B. Bukauskas.
Whoa!
Maybe I did it on purpose. I don't know. Jack, Jack, you're up.
I was going to say,
Your turn, Jack.
This is
You talk now.
Remember, I just love the New Day Hulk Hogan with Steven St. John and Nate Bukauskas. Anyway, go ahead.
I was going to say that this is probably the biggest reliever trade we've seen since 2016 when it was Aroldis Chapman for Gleyber Torres. And Gleyber Torres was seen as one of the top prospects in baseball. And that honestly reset the market for the next decade, basically. Nobody was willing to overpay that much for a reliever, even though Aroldis Chapman was a huge part in the Cubs winning the World Series this year, or that year. But you look at a trade like this, man, even the Padres have Jason Adam, who was an all-star. So you have Jason Adam and you have Robert Suarez. Yes, this is a move that helps you down the road, but, we talk about relievers with this type of velocity. Yes, it's better to be a reliever than a starter that throws 103. But who knows? You run into arm troubles, you run into IL stints, and you gave up who could be a mega star when it's a reliever at the end of the day. I really do believe that this was a big-time overpay by San Diego. However, I understand that they need to have all the horses they can get to beat a team like the Dodgers in the postseason.
But I guess my pushback is, if you're the Royals, yeah, you wouldn't do that. But if you're the Padres and you are trying to win now, you have been in this major market, you've had a lot of top prospects, you have a great outfield. Where does he fit long term? I mean, he's 18 years old. You are trying to win now, and that money can be used elsewhere now that you're not paying Robert Suarez. I actually don't. I get what you're saying with the overpay and all that. I understand. But it was going to take a lot to get Mason Miller, and you have him until 29. There's always going to be concern with injury. That's with any player.
But here's also concern when you trade for a prospect. CC Sabathia, I love that you brought that up because I just went back and checked. The star of that deal was Matt Laporta, who by rankings at that time was 27 or 30.
Great tight end.
Yes. In all of baseball, the number 27 or 30 overall prospect in all of baseball when he was traded for and acquired when you moved CC Sabathia. That was in 2009. For the Guardians, he played 291 games. The rest of his career was out of baseball in 2012. They traded for him in 2009. He played 2010 as a regular, 2011 as a sub/regular. 2012 he played 22 games, and that was the last time he played in Major League Baseball. So they got 291 games out of Matt Laporta for CC Sabathia. That was the big move. But again, that's a trade deadline, July 31st. So it's not an off-season when it's Will Myers for some of these deals. Zach Greinke for, an ALCS MVP in Escobar and one of the best overall players on a World Series team in Lorenzo Cain. It's a July 31st trade deadline, but it still got you a top 30 prospect. Just didn't work out.
But even going back and thinking of just an example here, Will Myers had a really nice career. Really nice career. I think the Royals and every Royals fan make that trade looking back now in hindsight every single time.
100%.
It is so hard when you trade for a prospect because we all think they're going to be the top-end outcome. That is so rare. Yeah, if you ended up trading a guy like Bobby Witt Jr., you'd look back and be pissed off.
Junior Caminero was a guy that I don't blame the Guardians at the time for, people are clowning the Guardians for trading Junior Caminero. But he was like 17 years old when the Rays acquired him. So good on the Rays for taking a chance on a 17-year-old bat that had just got to the Guardians organization that they had signed. And he turns out maybe Caminero developed with the Rays, that maybe he wouldn't be Caminero with the Guardians, although the Guardians are pretty good at developing regardless. But those are sort of the deals, like DeVries is an 18-year-old, maybe he turns out to be a stud, and you're like, wow, you gave up that guy for 4 years of a reliever?
But you probably won't know for 5 years, and at that point,
we may know in a couple of years if he's already at high A and as an 18-year-old, maybe in 2027, if he's up in the big leagues, you're like, oh my God, this guy's Junior Caminero.
Yeah.
Or, along those, or... Man, remember that DeVries guy that everybody thought was going to be a can't-miss guy that just sort of flamed out when he got to Double-A? Like, that was odd. What happened there? You never know. Oh, he got $4 million and stopped caring.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens with guys?
It's not that Mason Miller won't be a huge help for them in the bullpen this year, and we all know in October that if you have an elite bullpen, you're going to be able to go pretty far. I see there being more glaring issues to this Padres team than what their bullpen was. And, yeah, this DeVries kid could not amount to anything. I mean, he is a shortstop, but he's also an 18-year-old shortstop. You can move those guys around because of their athleticism, and who knows what the Padres look like 3 or 4 years down the road. But I go back to that deal they had for Juan Soto at the trade deadline, and they gave up James Wood, they gave up Mackenzie Gore, they gave up C.J. Abrams. I mean, all three guys hit. Now, at the time, they were top prospects in baseball. Yes, so is DeVries, but they were more polished. They were not 18-year-old kids who, you still got to develop them 3 or 4 more years before they're ready to go. You can also make the case, though, the Nationals are still 20 games under 500 with those 3 star players. But if you were the Padres and you're thinking, man, if we decided to not necessarily punt on that year because the hindsight's 2020, they thought they'd go all in and win the World Series with Juan Soto. But if that team right now had C.J. Abrams and they had James Wood and they had Mackenzie Gore and they had Machado and they had Tatis and they had Merrill and they had Cronenworth and they had the rotation and the bullpen they have, we wouldn't be talking about the Dodgers being the best team in baseball. We'd be talking about the Padres.
Yeah, a number of, by the way, a number of texts. I pull up the text line now. A number of texts have come in when we were talking about the trades. And I'm like, when is the last time we saw it? Like, a number of them was like Juan Soto. Juan Soto, that exactly. So I'm glad you brought that up too. Juan Soto, when you got James Wood, and you get Mackenzie Gore, you get C.J. Abrams for Juan Soto. Like, you got to be right on that to move him. They moved him. They made the right decision. They were not going to re-sign him in Washington. The Padres didn't even re-sign him.
Yeah, but the Padres would have re-signed Soto. I don't think they would have cared as much, but with him not being able to.
And the Padres got back. So the Padres traded for Juan Soto and then traded Juan Soto to the Yankees. But they also gave up Trent Grisham with Juan Soto.
He's been solid.
Yeah. They got back Johnny Brito, Kyle Shioka, Michael Ketchum, Drew Thorpe, and Randy Vasquez. That's who they got back. So essentially, they got half a season out of Juan Soto.
Michael King's been solid, though, right?
Half a season out of Juan Soto, Johnny Brito, Higashioka, Michael King, Drew Thorpe, and Randy Vasquez for C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, Robert Hassel, Luke Voigt, and James Wood. It's not a great trade, but they have been willing to make those deals. And I think there are a number of trades that are made that, as much as people might go, hey, the trade deadline's sort of overrated in terms of teams, because I've heard that from some people in Major League Baseball. They're like, people get excited about it, but really, you're making your team better, but are you making your team that big of a difference from where you were? Seattle, I think, is doing that they are separating themselves in the American League. But just going back, like trade deadlines, 2024, Dodgers got Jack Flaherty and Michael Kopech and eventual NLCS MVP Tommy Edman. Rangers got Aroldis Chapman and Jordan Montgomery and Max Scherzer before they won the World Series in 23. 2022, Houston Astros got Will Smith, Trey Mancini, Christian Vasquez. 2021, the Braves got Stephen Vogt, Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, Adam Duvall.
And Soler
was Eddie Rosario.
Remember Soler with some massive moments.
He hit one against the Astros that hasn't landed yet, right?
That thing. That was Albert Pujols. That was the
over the train tracks. I mean, just
what was farther? That home run or Albert Pujols?
Yes. I think so. 2019, the Nationals got Elias, got Hunter Strickland, got Daniel Hudson. But really, that wasn't all that big of a deal for them. Just looking at some of those. 2018 Red Sox got Ian Kinsler, got Nathan Eovaldi.
Was they get Steve Pierce at the deadline, or was he with the whole year?
Oh, yeah, Steve Pierce. I forgot he had a really good year for him.
Astros in 2017, Francisco Liriano, Justin Verlander, and Verlander certainly was a big deal for that Astros team. 2016 Cubs, Joe Smith, Aroldis Chapman, Mike Montgomery, and then 2015 Royals, we know, with Ben Zobrist and Johnny Cueto. So that's every single World Series winner except for 2020, the Dodgers in the shortened season. I didn't go and look at that because it wasn't a huge trade deadline. In your traditional trade deadlines of guys that are acquired at the trade deadline for teams that went on to win the World Series and what they did for them, you have in the last 4 years, you've got two different championship series MVPs that were traded at the deadline. Dodgers, Tommy Edman was the NLCS MVP, and Eddie Rosario for the Braves in 21 was the NLCS MVP. I mean, that they got at the trade deadline. Escobar and Kane, not deadline, but they were trades that eventually were the championship series MVPs for the Royals. Like, you got those in trades. And looking back, some others, Daniel Hudson for the Nationals recorded the final out of the World Series. Whether that matters or not, that was a guy that the trade acquisition. Nathan Eovaldi had the Game 3 Dodgers game in the World Series for the Red Sox when he went 6 innings, no earned runs, and he also went 22 postseason innings with a 2 ERA. Eovaldi for the Red Sox team. Mike Montgomery for the Cubs recorded the final out of the World Series, and that was Joe Smith, Aroldis Chapman, and then Mike Montgomery. So there have been some, as much as it's like, well, these trades, how much do they make that big of a difference? I mean, we've seen it here in Kansas City. We've seen it here in Kansas City that move can be the difference maker for you to be a good team, really good team, to World Series winner. And I think we can all agree without Zobrist and Johnny Cueto, we're not talking about that 2015 World Series banner out there.
Agreed.
And so maybe Seattle, finally, in their history, might raise a banner out there because of Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez to throw in the lineup with Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh.
Which, by the way, I looked it up. Those guys are starting to rake. Julio Rodriguez is starting to rake.
Yeah.
Randy Arozarena, who has been really not great since he got to Seattle.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't include him when talking about the lineup there with Julio and Cal Raleigh.
Now is OPS in 822.
Yeah.
Cal Raleigh is cooled down. Still OPS in 972 with 41 home runs.
Yeah. Now you throw Naylor and especially Eugenio.
I mean, Jorge Polanco, 770. I know he's a bad defensive second baseman, but I mean, he is a good bat. J.P. Crawford is a great defender, and he's still OPS in 720. The Mariners, I think if you're a Royals fan, I don't know how thrilled you are. That's the team you're chasing. The main team you're chasing for that final wild card spot, right? I mean, obviously New York and the Red Sox. Toronto, but Seattle's in that third wild card spot right now, and they just got a whole lot better.
Yeah. And then Texas was...
Blue Jays got Shane Bieber.
No, it was pointed out I completely missed this, so thank you to the texter, that Soler was the World Series MVP for the Braves.
He was.
So in that Braves trade deadline, they got Stephen Vogt, and they got the NLCS MVP and the World Series MVP at the trade deadline in Eddie Rosario and Jorge Soler. Throw in Adam Duvall and Jock Peterson too. I mean,
They completely read their outfield.
I mean, you want to talk about just taking your team from good to you won a World Series because of that.
Was that when Acuna was injured and they completely redid their outfield?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you brought those guys in. Thank you to the texter. I completely skipped over the fact that Soler. I saw Rosario as NLCS MVP and then moved on. I completely forgot about the fact that Jorge Soler was the World Series MVP for that team.
I will say Guardians are selling.
Yeah.
Right. Guardians sold Paul Sewald, and he's going to the Tigers. They sold off Shane Bieber.
Yep.
He's now going to the Blue Jays, which I forgot about Shane Bieber. I mean, he's been injured for a long time.
He's made his rehab. In the minors, in the 4 games he has participated in, he's got 21 strikeouts and 1 walk.
Yeah, he's back and he's thrown 2 games, I think, in the majors so far this year.
He threw 5 innings yesterday, so the Royals should not see Shane Bieber this weekend.
Okay.
I would guess not, because he threw 5 innings at Double-A yesterday, so I don't think they'll see him tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday. And Alejandro Kirk, just as the matchup with the Royals and Blue Jays, Kirk is expected to come back on Sunday. But you want to talk about a guy who's impactful for that team defensively. This Toronto Blue Jays pitching staff has been awful. Like vomit-inducing without Alejandro Kirk catching there.
They got shelled in Baltimore.
He
Badly. They did win 1 game, but
yeah, you took Kirk out of that, out of the catching position, and that pitching staff fell apart quickly, starting and bullpen. I mean, double-digit runs given up in 3 games. He's been out since Sunday. And they've given up double-digit runs in 3 of the games so far. And he'll miss tomorrow, and he'll miss Saturday as well. Expected to come off the concussion on Sunday, so Kirk should be back on Sunday, but I don't expect to see Shane Bieber there with the Toronto Blue Jays.
It's why the Royals winning last night was so massive. They're now 3 games back. You're chasing Cleveland, Rangers, and now Seattle in that third wild card spot. We know Seattle did a lot to get better. Red Sox have mostly stayed pat. Yankees got Austin Slater, I think, has been their big move so far. That's been their acquisition in the outfield to try and bolster with the Aaron Judge injury. but the Rangers haven't done a ton. Cleveland's selling. I mean, the Royals are right in this thing. I know we talked about sell, but the Royals at 54 and 55, they're right in this thing.
Yeah, they only have 2 teams now with the Rays selling off Zach Littell and the Guardians looking like they're selling. So it's Rangers, and I'm going to say Red Sox because the Mariners, I don't think are going to.
I agree.
I agree. Got to run away with some of these things here.
Beginning today, too, the Rangers and Mariners begin a 4-game series for the weekend. So
huge.
You hope. I think they go 2-2, and that way the Royals take 2 or 3 from Toronto.
I say
not one of them out.
Sweep. Mariners sweep.
Honestly, it's in Seattle, so where they pitch so well.
I don't think the Royals are catching the Mariners, which sucks because that would make them 4 games behind Boston. So
Boston has Houston this coming weekend.
Boston. So I might just go ahead and say Seattle go ahead and sweep that against Texas, just to move Texas out of the way, get the Rangers out of the way.
Yes,
if you can do that, because Cleveland's moving themselves out of the way. The Rays sliding back. We'll see what the Angels do. They're a game behind the Royals right now. Boston is 4 games up on the Royals for the second wild card, and Seattle is 2.5 games up on the Royals for the final wild card. But again, Seattle is going all in. Like they are essentially saying, this is the year we're going to do it. We have built one of the best farm systems in all of baseball for this, to capitalize on this. And that's what they're trying to do right now. Also, the number 17 prospect in the Padres organization is also going to the A's. So they got the number 3 prospect.
Wow.
And the A's are also getting the number 17 prospect in the Padres organization. But it's a good farm system. The number 17 prospect in that might be the number 12 prospect in the Royals, honestly, considering farm systems. All right, let's take a time out. Crazy stuff continues to go on. We'll talk some Chiefs football today. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast will be our guest. Hunter Harvey has been thrown into the mix for the Texas Rangers, looking to acquire a reliever. That is a report that's out there. Phillies and Mariners going all in. We'll talk about what could be on the horizon for the Royals. The Bengals add a tight end. The Chiefs have some injury concerns at a specific position that we'll get into. Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. But on the other side, we've had these debates around Kansas City with other fan bases outside of the area, and we've seen them come and go with the stars here in KC. And last night, I believe, ended without any doubt with an exclamation point of any argument that was absurd that was taking place last year. Less than a year ago, we find out now, based on last night and others, just how absurd that conversation was. We'll explain next. The Padres, this is the blockbuster trade so far. The Padres get Mason Miller and J.P. Sears, and the Athletics receive the number 3 overall prospect in all of baseball, which is the number 1 Padres prospect. But they also get out of the Padres system the number 3, number 13, and number 17 ranked prospects. That's updated, by the way, at MLB.com. So they got from the Padres number 1, number 3, number 13, and number 17 ranked prospects. Number 3 prospect in Braden Nett is a guy that has injury concerns, but is 99, 100, and they think may end up being a back-end reliever. So if they get back a guy that's still 100 as a back-end reliever with 6 years team control, and also the number 3 prospect in all of baseball from Mason Miller, we'll see. The Padres also might be trading Robert Suarez. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Join us. I talked about this when we went to break, and did you guys see the Yankees game last night? We know that, or anything from the Yankees game. One of the biggest things that come from the Yankees game last night was Austin Wells.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that was one video from that. Okay, Austin Wells getting doubled up because he thought it was the third out in the inning. So he's at second base, and he starts running back to the dugout, and they throw to second, and they get him in a rundown, going back to first on a bunt. That was one thing that happened. But there's frustration in New York, certainly, because of what they're seeing in the American League East. They're now 4 games behind the Blue Jays. They're only 1 game up on Boston. Seattle making their move. They are 2.5 games up on, just making the playoffs right now.
And Judge being injured.
Judge is injured. But I brought this up in arguments that were taking place last year. Remember the argument that was going on? We were talking about Bobby and MVP, who the best shortstop in baseball is. There were 2 names that were being brought up by teams out of the American League East. One was Gunnar Henderson, and that was dumb. And then when it came time for Gold Glove, and Bobby Witt got the Gold Glove, the absurdity coming out of New York, that people were arguing Anthony Volpe is better than Bobby Witt. There were arguments from dumbass Yankee fans. Mm-hmm. Not all Yankees fans are dumbasses, but the ones arguing Volpe over Bobby Witt are certainly dumbasses. Because last night, you know who got booed by the Yankees home crowd? Anthony Volpe, while committing his 16th error this year at shortstop. Short throwing a ball from the pitching mound.
He's got the yips.
100%. He can't throw right now. He charged the baseball, fielded it, and was at the pitching mound throwing it, and it skipped to first base there. They are booing Anthony Volpe in New York. And a year ago, they were arguing he's better than Bobby Witt. And we see this with Patrick Mahomes. We continue to see it with Bobby Witt. And I'm telling people, just stop embarrassing yourself. Stop embarrassing yourself. If you have A's fans talking about Jacob Wilson, I appreciate A's fans that I've seen going, yeah, I love that Jacob Wilson is starting Bobby Witt's best shortstop in the game. Well, that's great. But the Yankees fans and Orioles fans about who the best shortstop certainly in the American League is. And these different NFL fans talking about who the best quarterback in the NFL is. Just stop embarrassing yourself. This city has the best quarterback in the NFL and the best shortstop in baseball. And if you are arguing otherwise, then you are the ones wearing your particular team's sunglasses.
Well, in fairness, Yankees fans watch Derek Jeter unfairly win Gold Glove after Gold Glove, and so that's what they think a Gold Glove shortstop looks like. And when you see average, they think, oh, that's a Gold Glove! Yankees fans, I mean, they're just... that's what happens. That's what happens. By the way, I do remember the first half of last year, Yankees fans saying Volpe not only was a better defender than Bobby, a better player than Bobby.
He's a better shortstop in the American League. It's Volpe, Gunnar, and Bobby, but it's really Volpe. In Baltimore, it's Gunnar, it's not even close. And in Kansas City, those with actual eyes and ability to judge, it was Bobby Witt that wasn't close.
28 other teams outside of Orioles and Yankees fans go, it's Bobby. Volpe ended up with an OPS last year. Anyone take a guess at what his apparently Yankees fans thought he was as good as? Oh, they wish it was 7:30. 6:57 in that ballpark.
The first half was awesome.
That ballpark, 6:57.
Yeah, and now he's committed. And they're calling for get this guy, get this bum out of here, get George Lombard up, get Volpe.
Hey, he's hitting 217 with a whole bunch of errors. Is that going to play?
16 errors shortstop last night.
Wow.
And the boos from the New York Yankees home crowd. We are a calendar away from people arguing Volpe over Bobby Witt.
Does any fan base know less about the sport that they follow than Yankees fans? I don't think there's a single one.
No, I think there's plenty of smart Yankees fans. But again, the ones that argued Volpe over Bobby Witt, those are the ones that go in there.
No, because the same ones that go Clint Frazier. Clint Frazier will get us Mike Trout.
Well, I think it's also more so of the Yankees being the brand they are. There's more of them.
There's more dumbasses per capita. But the per capita is equal, but the dumbassery
I said
is...
about UK fans. It's like, well, UK fans are crazy. I'm like, well, they have a certain percentage like everybody else does. They just have a wider sea that you're taking the percentage from. So the crazies are it's 5% of every fan base is crazy. Yeah, but they have maybe one of the biggest fan bases in the country. So their 5% really comes out of the woodwork all over the place.
Yeah.
And Yankees a little bit.
Well, here we go.
It's at 5%. Whatever the percentage is, they're all sort of the same. It's just how big that fan base is.
I guess what it comes down to, too, is why it seems so much worse, because there are also Cowboys fans who are also crazy, and so they have the double crazy. And they don't cancel each other out. It's a multiplier. It's a multiplier.
And they are pretty pissed right now. They are a little sensitive right now with Nick Saban retiring. So the fact that Kalen DeBoer is there, there's some sensitivity from Yankees fans that the Crimson Tide may not be as good as they have been.
Well, they were all Lakers fans, and they realized the Lakers aren't good anymore. So we're now Celtics fans. Celtics fans, and they ended up realizing now that, oh no, they're injured with Tatum.
But I thought that was interesting last night. Everybody's checking out the Austin Wells video. I thought, that's funny. But what stood out to me was the boos from the home crowd. Anybody boo Bobby Witt around Kaufman? Anybody booing old Robert Baseball? Anybody booing there from Kansas City? Oh, the number 2 MVP, best shortstop. Anybody booing him? No.
I'm trying to think of the last guy they did boo. They didn't boo MJ this year. It wasn't up long enough, but they haven't done that.
Probably.
Renfro, maybe Sam Long earlier in the year. By the way, Sam Long, shout out to you for coming through clutch last night. Sam Long,
we haven't talked about the game really last night.
Impressive.
With 9 relievers and a shutout.
But if you are a pitcher and you're just struggling, you get booed, are they booing the team or are they booing you?
And I think that's a good point. I think there are times when it's like a batter's up there and strikes out, that it may be specifically boo, but the boos might also be a general frustration, and that particular player happens to be the most recent person that it was like, all right, now I'm just pissed and annoyed, now I'm going to boo. Not specifically you. You just happen to be the person that's the most recent one that elicited these boos. Volpe was specifically to Volpe. They are booing because they want Lombard. They are done with him and his 16th error, and he's got the yips and he can't throw to first. They're booing him to let the organization know we're done with him. We're not booing overall because we're frustrated.
Lumberg.
Hell, Lumberg bleeped Volpe. Got him right at a shortstop. Lumberg bleeped him, and now he's no longer shortstop in the Yankees. Got a bleep there. What the heck, man? That's too bad for Volpe. But that was a specific boo to him. Yeah. Whereas, there's certainly boos all over the place with different fan bases. Royals, Chiefs fans have booed. This last we've heard some boos even this last year with the team that was going to the third straight Super Bowl, because there's a level of expectation that is so great that not meeting that expectation, because there's also the Twitter has created this a little bit more too, because it used to be John at the desk next to you that was the KU fan and you were the Mizzou fan. And then back and forth with the K-State fan. It's like, I don't want to hear from John at the desk. Now it's everybody on Twitter that's going to be coming at and talking about the Bengals and how great the Bengals are, the Ravens, and the Chiefs keep getting lucky, and look, this offense sucks, and the Chiefs have scored 10 points now, it's late third quarter, another punt. Yeah, I'm pissed! Because Johnny 75235 ball knower football guy on Twitter is going to come at me, and now I'm pissed at you guys. Get it together, Andy Reid! Not John at the office, because typically John at the office is probably a Chiefs fan. John at the office ain't going to really say anything. He's not a Chiefs fan because you got bragging rights over there. But guy on Twitter that's going to keep you up at night. And, honey, I can't put the kids to bed right now. I'm arguing with somebody on Twitter.
I remember I've never been a fan that would boo. I've never done it, but I
booed umpires before. And officials.
That's fine. I can
but
boo
not
officials.
not fans.
Not the players.
Not the players.
And I remember an instance that changed for me was last year. I went to the Chiefs and Niners game and was down in the tunnel after the game after the Chiefs won, and I saw Chris Jones walking off the field. And he's 6'7", 330 pounds. And I imagine it was almost like he wasn't a human. It looked like he was a different breed. And Mike Pennell was next to him, who's 6'4". And I go, if I was to boo this team in any situation, this is who I'm booing. And how many of the people that have booed before would boo 10, like I was, 10 feet away, zero. You're protected by security, stands from that. And that changed my mind forever. I go, if you wouldn't boo right directly to them, then you don't boo at all.
I don't know.
Now, Volpe might be a little bit different.
Baseball's different. Some baseball's different. Some baseball guys.
Hold your feet to the fire. If you're going to boo somebody, be like, get close enough where you can be like, I want to meet you outside the parking lot after the game.
Booing someone doesn't mean you want to fight them.
Could be. Sometimes you want to fight them.
I want out of a job.
Sometimes it can be, Sterling. Booing them sometimes can be. I want to fight them.
Booing, when Renfro was struggling, booing Renfro didn't mean you wanted to fight him if you're a fan.
There was probably a couple more.
I've had a couple people think they were going to lose that fight.
Depending on how much money they may have put on that Depending on how much money they may have put on that game or the over on the...
We had those discussions
run away from
basketball season. About the threats to certain players. Like, would you say to their face? Likely not. That's why there's social media.
There's a couple rules. One, probably not going to say it on social media if I wouldn't say it to their face. And if I don't want to do it tomorrow, I'm not going to agree to do it 6 months from now. It's another rule. Hey, you want to host this thing for us in December? Well, do I want to do it tomorrow? No. Probably not going to do it. Or, you know what, that sounds fun. Yeah, let's do it. Let's plan it right now. Let's put it on the calendar. Because, let's do it. It's 6 months from now. But that's 6 months going to get here. And eventually that's going to be tomorrow. It's like, oh man, I did not want to do this. Why did I agree to this? Because 6 months ago, Jason was like, I don't care. 6 months from now, who knows what's going to happen then? I'll agree to whatever. If you don't want to do it tomorrow, don't agree to it 6 months from now. And don't say to somebody online that you wouldn't say to their face.
I agree. Or at least if you are, have a real account.
And also,
or
fake
them booing them. You want to try it that way.
Or
instead of booing them in person.
Just said boo. Happy Halloween.
But mainly, don't argue Volpe's better than Bobby. All right, folks. Text says with all caps and 5 exclamation points, stop yelling. I like the irony there.
That's good.
I like that.
Who was yelling, you or me?
Me, when I was talking about Yankees fans and Volpe and being better than...
Jack, stop yelling. Jack, you're always back there yelling.
Yes.
I'm a softer spoken guy.
Emmy, the intern, stop yelling.
Please stop.
The interns are just yelling back there.
E5, stop yelling. Okay?
It's a fun car ride back here.
Yeah.
So I kind of envision it's like
E5, you ever
Pull
have
the car over.
E5, you ever have the yips? You ever have the yips in
Why is
baseball?
E5?
I know I did.
Yeah, do you ever have the yips E5
He
over
said
third?
yes.
Yeah. You get 'em, everybody will get them. Everybody will get them.
I had him in second.
Oh, you were Chuck Knobloch.
I was.
Legit.
That's a tough one, dude.
Yep.
At second base? Oh, man.
Anywhere else I could throw it, not second. Don't know
So
why.
it's always the pitchers, right? The pitchers have the yips. Not necessarily John Lester picking off at first, but just throwing. Every time a pitcher makes a rocket line drive throw to first that hits the first baseman in the glove or whatever, and it doesn't really have to move, I'm like, that was impressive. That was one of the more impressive things this pitcher has done. This guy is throwing pinpoint control at all areas and all 9 spots on the strike zone. But him fielding the ball and throwing it over to the first that has a much wider range that would be a quote-unquote strike to get the out is more impressive. Just because we've seen how badly pitchers go, oh, nope, shoot.
John Lester.
Yeah, not even that. I mean, that he couldn't throw to first just based
In
on
general.
pickoff. But yeah. So the yips.
I think the Royals are saying
But I do
yippee
stop
right now
I do need to stop yelling.
because the teams in front of them, not really a lot, got better outside of the Mariners. I think you're actually pretty thrilled if you're the Royals right now.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what the Yankees do. The Padres are now trying to acquire Stephen Kwan. Good night. Padres getting Mason Miller. We thought that they were going to get Mason Miller, and then they were still going to move Robert Suarez and also Dylan Cease. But according to Bob Nightingale, he tweets out, the Padres now have no plans to trade Robert Suarez, giving them the best bullpen in baseball, and they may pivot to keep starter Dylan Cease. So the Padres went from, we're going to move Suarez, we're going to move Cease, we're going to move some of these different pieces to rearrange the team, to acquire different assets that can help out the pro team, the big league team, to giving up the number 1, number 3, number 13, and number 17 prospect for Mason Miller, and maybe just saying we're holding on to everybody else and we're going to continue to acquire. Because now it looks like Stephen Kwan is going to get into a bidding war between the Dodgers and the Padres. By the way, good on the Guardians. You want to talk about taking advantage of a market? If you've got the Dodgers and Padres that are rivals and both trying to win the West and both teams hate the other team, and Stephen Kwan is like the gem of landing an outfielder, they may just get into a bleep you bidding war for the other one and just do something stupid to get Kwan, and the Guardians may be better for it. I don't like that, but, you know, good on the Guardians if that's the case. Let's talk some NFL football. Matt Lane joins us, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Matt, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good here. We're getting ever closer. We got football, directly on the horizon, although, it may be just a Hall of Fame game, but it's starting. So we're here. It's time. It's the season. It's begun.
There will be players wearing uniforms and football gear playing in a football game coming up tonight. That is a thing that is actually going to happen. And a week from Saturday, there will be Chiefs players wearing Chiefs gear and a helmet and jerseys and pads playing against the Cardinals. So you are absolutely right. The next time we talk, Matt, will be after preseason game number 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll have a little bit more to talk about. Let's discuss how you view training camp. 2 weeks into training camp. And I'm asking it from this perspective. We were having some fun yesterday with all chanting together, I will not overreact to Josh Simmons training camp clips. I will not we were trying to sort of convince ourselves, right? We were laying down on the couch with the therapist, sort of talking it out, talking it through, trying to convince ourselves really not to overreact to training camp clips. So I try not to do that every year. But it's very difficult this year because of what Josh Simmons can mean to this team. So I'll ask you, how do you view training camp? How do you go about the reports that come out, the videos, the clips that come out? How do you digest it? How do you organize all of those things into your breakdown of the Chiefs?
Oh, listen, we're buying all the hype from training camp. This is what the time of year is for. We have 3 preseason games now to get off of the hype. We have 3 semi-real football situations that can back us off of it. So we go into preseason, and if all of a sudden Josh Simmons or any other player struggles, then we can start to back it up. At this point, we have no football since last season. For some of these rookies, we have 0 football on the outside. to, like sit here and say anything about. So if we see things that look good coming from training camp clips, I have no problems buying the dip and putting a little bit on the chip here and getting excited for what comes. And I would rather be excited early and then have to back off the excitement going into a football season than trying to pace myself and be a little bit, not negative or anything like that, but just kind of waiting and seeing. I'd rather have fun going into the year. I think at this point, as a Chiefs fan, I just want to enjoy it. Enjoy football, what's going on. The Chiefs have been good for a long time, so let's enjoy this training camp, these highlights that are coming out and stuff like that. And I started to hear differently from people that are actually there that the overarching practice is not going as well as the highlights look that are making it out. Okay, then we could have a different conversation, but by all accounts, for Josh Simmons in particular, it's been nothing but rave reviews from anybody that has been out there.
So let's approach it this way. Let's put your analyst cap on and just strictly Matt Lane analyst breaking down film, watching these players, what you see from them. How much can you take away from watching guys? We've had a couple of fully padded practices now. Had the padded practice on Sunday, and then the 2.5-hour one on Tuesday, which was the grueling. There's a couple of those grueling practices throughout training camp. Danny Reed's just like, guys, you're in it. You're in it right now. Here you go. What does Matt Lane, the analyst, when you watch these things, what do you see, and how much stock do you put into some individual specific reps in a vacuum, certain things that you see?
It's tricky not being out there. Like when I have the ability to go out there and watch an entire practice, I'm going to lean a little bit more on when I'm actively there, because I get to see every rep, I kind of know what the coaches are doing and everything. But just looking at highlights, I really try not to pay attention to too many or hardly any of the technical aspects, because I don't know what they're working on. So if it's a pass rush route and the blocker and the pass rusher, I don't know if I'm necessarily looking at hand placement or exactly how deep anybody gets around the edge or anything like that. I'm more focused on how the players are moving and the body positions and the timing at which they're doing stuff, just because we don't know from a technical standpoint what they're trying to work on. So it's easier, I think, to boil it down to a person, and why I think everybody is really high on Simmons, who you guys are talking about there. I mean, when you watch him, it's not the hand placement, it's not the the punches or anything like that. It's just the fact that you watch him move. He is consistently moving at an elite level with great body position. He's never off balance. He's never out of position. He just looks athletically different than even most of the rushers that he's going up against. And that's kind of what I'm taking away from these highlights. Or if you go watch Xavier Worthy on some of these routes, I know he had a really nice little arrow right route the other day in the red zone where I believe it was Najee Johnson. And you just watch how he moves through that and how quickly he's getting in and out of those breaks. The shoulder fake that he throws it out there on the inside aspect before breaking back outside. You see the movement and how those guys are moving on the field. That's kind of what I'm paying attention to when I do see these clips come across the timeline or Instagram or wherever I find them.
What do you think of the Josh Simmons versus Gelati camp battle that's taking place a couple of different times? Certainly same rookie class. They probably hang out, love each other off the field, but tempers start to flare a little bit. Somebody's trying to get the best of the other guy. What do you make of that sort of edge that Josh Simmons certainly looks like he plays at and will need to back down from in an actual game and not get a penalty like he did when the refs were out there?
Yeah, so obviously you want to be able to keep the extracurriculars under control. You can't go as far as he did in that game, but you do love to see the edge. I think we were day 3, that was the third day of padded practice in a row. It's hot. They're probably a little tired at that point in time, and listen, he's kind of been whooping from the clips that we've seen. He's been whooping Action Gelati around a little bit. So here you are at the end of another rep where you kind of push him well out of the play, and he's trying to get an extra shove and jersey pull on you. So I get being frustrated, and I don't mind that he was ready to stand up like Sanders. I was like, hey, you're not going to do that right now. You don't need to throw the punch in a real game. I get it. In the situation of an injury training camp, I understand why tensions rise. It doesn't sound or seem like it bled over into anything more, which is good. But my biggest takeaway, besides all that, there's a little bit of a dog in him, which is funny because that was one of the questions that the quote-unquote anonymous scouts had in the articles coming into the draft. Well, from everything we've seen, there seems to be plenty of fight and dog in Josh Simmons. But the thing that really stood out to me is Listen, I see a lot of football players throw punches. That was a pretty crisp and pretty quick straight right that came out. Like, there was some twitchiness to that punch compared to a lot of the punches I've seen on the football field. So I don't know. It stays right in line with everything else we've seen from him from a movement ability.
By the way, that's so beautiful. We're talking with Matt Lane. That Matt Lane, the analyst, breaking down different film, is now breaking down the literal punch from Josh Simmons. Not just the punch of an offensive lineman. The literal quick twitch punch from Josh Simmons to Ashton Galati.
That hit in there. It's perfect. It's a good punch.
One, it's going to get you ejected. Two, even if it doesn't, it's going to be illegal hands to the face. So the punch needs to be a little bit lower. But I do love that you're breaking down the quick twitchness of Josh Simmons' punch there to Ashton Galati. Visiting with Matt Lane. One of the things that I like to listen to people that have played the position, that understand the different techniques, as you're talking about, it's tough to see, they might be working on this particular right hand placement. So he lost this one-on-one rep, and boom, look, oh man, Dana went right by him. Well, in that one, he was only working on this particular thing, or this particular drop, and trying to work on something there. So Mike Dana won that rep, and so who knows? It's like a pitcher in spring training. He's working on a curveball and throws 5 in a row, and the 5th one gets hit, 400 feet. Like, oh boy, that guy just gave up a 2-run shot. Yeah, because he was trying to get the feel for his curveball down in a game situation. But like Jason Dunn, that is part of the Chiefs podcast with Chiefs Concerns. I was watching a clip that he had the other day talking about Josh Simmons and the technique. And one of the things that he brought up, and he said, I'm paraphrasing here, talking about the athleticism and what's separate when we talk about an athletic tackle. And he talked about and showed Josh Simmons when he's dropping in his drop set, getting ready for the defensive end, and he looks at it and says, "Look how low his waist is." While he's dropping that quick, but his waist is that low. So when contact comes, he's got the lower part to be there to strike back or anchor, while also being athletic enough to beat that guy around the edge. That to me is something where, like, I probably wouldn't have noticed that with my novice eye. But Jason Dunn, a guy who's done plenty of blocking in his career, to point that out, I'm like, okay, when they talk about you see the athleticism from a guy, that's something that smart offensive linemen and football players, that's what they're seeing with the athleticism, that he's quick in his drop while his butt is still low to the ground, and then boom, takes on the defender, instead of, I got to beat him that spot, and now I've lost all my leverage.
And that's one of the biggest things for me that I noticed about Josh Simmons, and not just like the hip level or anything like that, but like when going through this draft process after last year, and I wasn't ever at the point where I thought Kingsley Suamataia was like this surefire first-round pick and was going to come into the NFL and dominate or anything like that. I thought they were different level of prospects, but even going back to watch Kingsley in college or the NFL, very good athlete, but when you watch him move on the football field, he does lose his body position. He is not in a good position to anchor versus power or to deliver a powerful strike when he's covering a lot of distance. He gets a little high, his base gets narrow, he doesn't stay in what I would call just a powerful ready position, and like going through this year's draft class, I said that about Simmons right away, is he's moving just as well. Like, he's covering just as much distance, but he is consistently in a position to absorb contact, to create torque, to deliver a strike of some kind, and that's only carried over to training camp. Like, that's in the most impressive part. Yeah, he's athletic. We all know that. We can see that. But when you look at him, he is never out of position. He's always balanced. He's always low. The hip flexibility is there. We see in the run drills his ability to drop his shoulders down and dig underneath to gain leverage and then create movement with it. But again, he's never leaning out over his toes. His butt's not shooting back. He's just able to drop his weight. So this goes back to his tape at Ohio State. We're seeing it in training camp. He just functionally moves at the same level that he would go test on a track. And I think that is something that elite offensive tackles in the NFL can do. Guys that are just really good athletes that maybe struggle to make the transition to the NFL, they can be elite athletes. They might even be better track athletes than Simmons, but they can't maintain that like football-ready position at all times. And I think that's what really stands out for Simmons. He is always in that kind of position no matter what he's doing.
Matt Lane, Casey Sports Network, Casey Laboratory Podcast. You wrote a couple weeks ago, actually, about the battle at left guard for the Kansas City Chiefs. And at that time, the battle for left guard seemed to be with 3 players, Kingsley, Caliendo, and maybe Norzad. That was in the discussion. What's your takeaway in reaction to hearing that Jalen Moore was splitting reps with Kingsley at left guard with the ones in some of the long drive drills, that he's getting reps at left guard now, Jalen Moore is?
Yeah, so the one guard competition has been interesting because for the first team, it had pretty much just been Kingsley all the way up until that practice where Juwan Taylor comes back and is able to give you the full practice at right tackle, and then Jalen Moore started rotating at left guard. Caliendo, I don't think got too many reps with the first team at left guard. I don't think Hunter Northad has got any, so it felt like it was all Kingsley, and then all of a sudden we have Jalen Moore sliding over there. I'm not going to make a mountain out of a molehill just yet with that. Because from what we've seen from Jalen Moore, he has played a little bit of first-team right tackle. He's played a little bit of first-team left guard. I don't know what his rotation, where he's been at and all the second-team stuff, but it feels like they're using him as a utility offensive line. And it feels like his usage through training camp so far has been, we're going to give you a little bit of experience at these different spots as we see fit, with Juwan Taylor coming back from injury, with not even necessarily Kingsley needing a break, just to get him some reps there. So my read right now is that Jalen Moore is kind of being treated as he is going to be the sixth offensive lineman, and they are kind of planning to play him at either tackle spot or either guard spot if they need to, but that doesn't sound like he is going to be as of right now. I think that we're sitting here, July 31st, we haven't even played a preseason game yet. It doesn't appear as of this moment that he is setting himself up for a real starter, not he, but they're setting him up for a real starting spot. I will say, though, if we come back after this day off and we get back into the pads and they're working on their second and third install days, and all of a sudden you see Jalen Moore only rotating at one position and rotating even more, whether that's guard, tackle, wherever it may be, then my ears start to perk up a little bit more. But if he continues to bounce around, that to me says that's a sixth offensive lineman and more of a utility guy.
Yeah, that was my takeaway is, I talked about last week, and we had discussed with Kent, if the battle was starting to turn to right tackle between Juwan Taylor and Jalen Moore, instead of us discussing the battle left tackle being Josh Simmons and Jalen Moore, that in fact Josh Simmons is now your starting left tackle. And my view of that was, if they didn't feel Juwan Taylor was going to be on the PUP list that long, and he wasn't, so he missed 4 practices, then there's no reason, if you really had a battle at left tackle, there's no reason to put Jalen Moore at right tackle. You could have put Wanya Morris or somebody there with the ones, while getting as many reps with Jalen Moore and Josh Simmons with the ones on the left side, if it was a true battle. But the fact that they immediately put Jalen Moore on the right side with Juwan Taylor, that we know now missed 4 practices, tells me they're not worried about Jalen Moore as the starter. Josh Simmons is your starter, so what are we doing with Jalen Moore? Is there a battle at right tackle? When he went to guard, Matt, I'm in complete agreement with you. That told me that their sixth offensive lineman is Jalen Moore. Unless it's center that they have to bring in for Creed, then you go, Norzad or Caliendo. But the 4 other spots on the field, I feel like the sixth offensive lineman, they may look at it and go, that's what we're paying Jalen Moore for. If Josh Simmons misses time, he's our left tackle. If Juwan Taylor misses time, he's our right tackle. If Kingsley, is not doing well, he's our left guard. If Trey Smith has to miss some time, he's going to be our right guard. Jalen Moore is our sixth offensive lineman, and we have 6 starters, we feel, which is in a much better position than they were a year ago.
Yeah, I think that's what we're trending towards. And I honestly, once they were able to draft Josh Simmons in this past draft, and then we got word that he was healthier than we expected. If you told the Chiefs, I think when they drafted Simmons that he was going to be healthy enough to play, I think in their perfect world, from the moment that they were able to draft one, Jalen Moore is probably being regulated to being that sixth offensive lineman. And then at that point, yeah, you can make an argument that that's a slight overpay for a reserve offensive lineman, but at the end of the day, look at the 2 times the Chiefs have made the Super Bowl and lost. It's been because of offensive line injuries and because they didn't have people that were ready to step in and play at that level. So if you want to overpay slightly for an insurance policy that has actively cost you Super Bowl wins, or at least been a partial reason for that in the past, you might want to overpay a little bit. So I don't think there's any regrets about it. I just do think that, once they were able to get Simmons and the goal would be for him to be your left tackle, Jalen Moore became a little bit more of a movable piece, and they're just trying to figure out where he sits. So now he is a backup plan in case Simmons gets hurt, or until Juwan Taylor gets hurt, or if we get through the preseason, I assume Kingsley's going to play a lot more reps this preseason than he did last year, and if he starts to struggle in the preseason at left guard, you do at least have another talented player that you believe in that could come in and maybe take over for him. Like, we can't, even if Kingsley gets that starting left guard job going into the preseason or so forth, we can't just assume that he's absolutely going to be okay there. We kind of got to see it play out. So they have places where Jalen Moore could still see some playing time with injury or without. I just don't think at this moment that the plan is for him to be a starter going forward.
I don't understand the thought process. Look, the Chiefs have made mistakes. Brett Veach has made mistakes. So this is not Brett Veach did it, therefore it's got to be great. But I don't understand the criticism of Jalen Moore signing him, and if he's not going to be a starter on your team, that, well, you've overpaid, and what a mistake signing him was for an $11 million cap hit this year, and 2 years, $20 million, 15 of that, I think, guaranteed, and now there's going to be, or 2 years, $30 million on that, and you're going to have a $18 million cap hit next year, but it's an $11 million cap hit for a reserve offensive lineman. What a waste of money. I just can't agree with that. One, because of the process and how they got there, but two, how many people would have loved to have an $11 million insurance policy before the Super Bowl last year against the Eagles, and you could move Tooney to left guard, back to left guard, and Jalen Moore at left tackle. You got better at 2 spots just by bringing in the $11 million insurance policy. Do we really think 5 guys on the offensive line are going to play every single freaking snap this year? I mean, you want to protect Patrick Mahomes? Then live in reality. This is part of it. This is part of protecting Patrick Mahomes, is that you do what you can in the offseason to make sure you have answers at different places, and you're not moving Tooney to left tackle and Caliendo playing left guard, and Patrick Mahomes is Tampa Bay Buccaneers Part 2 in the Super Bowl. That's why I can't wrap my mind around the criticism of what a mistake it was for Jalen Moore to be signed. I love the signing. And I think it is great business practice to do everything you can to protect Patrick Mahomes. And if somebody goes down, you got this guy to come off the bench and play.
Yeah, I think it's good business. And like, I understand if you told the Chiefs where they were going to be right now, maybe they would not have spent that much money on Jalen Moore. I can fully agree to that, but we can't operate in hindsight. Because at the moment of signing Jalen Moore, they didn't know they were going to get any left tackle, let alone one that could be looking this promising early on. So yeah, there's nothing to fret about. Yeah, he's one of the highest paid, swing tackles, 6 offensive linemen in the NFL. Fully understood. I can also directly point to 2 Super Bowls, at least the first one against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The first Eagles, maybe it was too far gone. But the injuries along the offensive line directly cost them maybe a real chance to win that Super Bowl, right? So I have zero issues with Jalen Moore's contract being a utility offensive lineman. It comes in and provides you a backstop in case Kingsley, in case Josh Simmons don't perform as well as you want, or in case Juwan Taylor does get hurt again, because apparently he played through this knee injury that caused him to miss the start of training camp towards the end of last year. So it's a great insurance policy to have, and if I'm the Chiefs and I'm tired of watching Patrick Mahomes get banged up in the Super Bowls, I'm okay with paying a little extra for that insurance policy.
The question would be, and this is where, if somebody's argument was this, then I would be more on board of them, making, rather than just be like, oh, you wasted money on Jalen Moore, because I do think that there's going to be a time where Jalen Moore is going to be needed this year. Right? He's going to have to play. Not the offensive line don't just go out there and play every single snap every single year, and it's there's no issue there. But if somebody wanted to argue and say, look, you lost Turk Wharton to the Carolina Panthers, and again, we didn't know about Omar Norman Lott. Jerry Tillery was signed. Would you rather have Jalen Moore 2 years, $30 million, or Javon Hargrave 2 years, $30 million, $15 million a year, which is Jalen Moore. That's the annual average value. 30 divided by 2, did it real quickly. The Minnesota Vikings signed Javon Hargrave. If you go, okay, are they better with the 6th offensive lineman and Jalen Moore, or are they better if they can say you've got George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, and Minihue, and Hargrave on third downs to rush the passer? Are they better there? Could be, but if Omar Norman Lott's really good, then maybe that equals each other out, and you were going to get that offensive lineman, maybe like a Jalen Moore there in the draft, the way that you got Omar Norman Lott.
Yeah, and you can make the argument for another defensive tackle or pass rusher. I could even see an argument being made spending that money on a more proven, wide receiver, especially one that could stay, healthier. As we're dealing with 2 wide receiver injuries plus another looming suspension, I could see an argument for using the money in another avenue. But that's all hindsight. When we go back to the moment of signing that contract, the number one priority of the Chiefs made this abundantly clear both times after they lost the Super Bowl. Fixing our offensive line is going to be the biggest floor raiser for the team. And they did. And so I get how we got there. I can understand the logic. If somebody says they would rather have a Hargrave, if somebody would have rather had Cooper Kupp or whatever for the same contract, I can hear the reasoning behind it, especially knowing where we sit right now in training camp. But we just didn't know that at the time. And like you said, the odds of all 5 players staying healthy along the offensive line, plus all 5 playing really, really well, aren't guaranteed. It's not a sure thing. So Jalen Moore is probably going to have some level of impact. And if he has to start, even let's say 4 or more games at any point in time in the season, he's probably going to be more important than a Cooper Kupp or Javon Hargrave would be, even if they are playing the entire season, just because we have seen what happens to this offense under that poor offensive line play.
Visiting with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. I mentioned the contract of Javon Hargrave, and I brought up Omar Norman Lott. So wasn't planning on going this route, but it popped into my mind hearing Charles Minihue talk about Norman Lott yesterday and talk about his hand and his wrists and the hand fighting. What do you hear from that, and what do you make of Charles Minihue talking about how advanced Omar Norman Lott is? I think Minihue said it took him until year 3 to get to the level that Norman Lott is already, with the hands and the grabbing the wrist, pushing, pulling, some of those things. I mean, there's other techniques and refinement and, secondary and third different moves and pass rush plans. But what do you make of Minihue being that complimentary of Omar Norman Lott, talking about the hands and the grabbing the wrist, that he's at a spot now that it took Minihue a couple of years in the NFL to learn?
Yeah, I think you're hearing everything you want about Norman Lott. If you had any concerns that coming in the year, you have heard everything you kind of want to put on a little bit more size, which I think will be helpful for a guy that didn't play the run frequently or overly well at Tennessee. So he added some size to his frame before getting in here, which should help in that regard. And Chiefs need more run defenders on the interior. You hear some advanced stuff with his hands as a pass rusher, which that's going to be his early career calling card, his ability as a pass rusher, a rotational rusher, and to not have it just be his quickness, his athleticism, but there is the violence in his hands, the ability to land them where he needs to and read or feel a blocker's leverage and what they're trying to do and how to react to it. So you're hearing everything that you want to. We've seen some nice plays from him coming out of camp. I think for him, I'm really just excited to get to the preseason game where we can see a little bit longer, more sustained play of his, because I don't think there has been the word coming out of Omar Norman Lott. Training camp has been there, but we haven't got to see as much of him as we've got to see of some wide receivers or Simmons or some other players. So I'm kind of excited to see what he looks like when a real game comes, because it does sound like some of the players and coaches have been very complimentary of his skill set for a guy that I do think a lot of fans or people that cover the draft thought he might need a little bit more time to adapt to the NFL, given his usage and lack of overall snaps that he was playing in college leading up to the draft.
Visiting with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. And one other one. Any concerns? I guess there has to be, but maybe it's more dog bites man. But Christian Fulton still injured, and it doesn't seem like it's anything new. Right now, like it's not something added on to what he had cleaned up in the offseason. We'll see how soon he gets back, but Steve Spagnuolo talking about, we need to get him out there. He's trying to, it's his third defense in 3 years for Christian Fulton. Any concerns that it's a couple of weeks in and we still don't really have an update as to when Christian Fulton will return?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, right? Christian Fulton, a guy that has struggled to stay healthy in the NFL. He's struggled to play full seasons. He's always been a little banged up and missed some significant time, multiple seasons now. So his health is always something that has to be of concern. And it's unfortunate we didn't hear a lot about this leading up to training camp until that opening press. It's like, hey, he's not going to be here. He's not healthy. Jawan Taylor's closer to returning than he is. Boom, Jawan Taylor's back, and we still don't have much of an update. And then you combine that with Steve Spagnuolo's defensive scheme, which is pretty diverse, right? There's a lot of different stuff that goes on. There's a lot of blitzes. There's a lot of hiding and shell coverage and stuff like that, and disguising what you're doing. So it's going to take him some time, most likely, to catch up to speed. And then there's a handful of veterans that have been around the team that have played a lot of snaps that are going to be ahead of him in the pecking order. And until he learns the entire playbook, they probably stay ahead of him, which means you're probably gearing up for another year of a lot of Shamari Connor, Najee Johnson, Joshua Williams, whoever it may be that comes out of that little competition there. And I think a lot of Chiefs fans were kind of ready to get an improvement on those guys, and we're excited for Fulton to provide that. So, yeah, we're definitely in not concern territory, but we definitely want to see some action of things starting to head the right direction, especially as those preseason games getting closer and closer.
Well, I'll say I like the Christian Fulton signing because of what it can do to the cornerback room. Obviously, need him to stay healthy. I don't count on him playing 17 games. While I like the Christian Fulton signing, I will be very annoyed if he misses a good portion of the season and the secondary isn't much better than what it was a year ago when a guy that I kind of wanted was Malik Collins at defensive tackle that signed 2 years for $2 million less than Christian Fulton. But they went and got Tillery. They drafted Norman Lott. We'll see. If Christian Fulton's healthy, then I'd rather have Fulton out there as a cornerback than what Malik Collins can do, who I think is a pretty darn good pass rusher. But we'll see. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Matt, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. Enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy that exciting football game tonight.
Matt, I can't wait for our next conversation because we would have already seen preseason game number 1 and we'd be getting ready for preseason game number 2.
Oh, man, can't wait.
Awesome, man. Have a good day, brother.
You too.
All right, there's Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. What a difference a couple of weeks make, because 2 weeks ago he wrote about the left guard battle, and it was Kingsley and Caliendo and Norzad. And then we see Jalen Moore in there. And I don't think Jalen Moore is going to start at left guard. I think your starters right now in Brazil, if healthy, it's going to be Simmons, Kingsley, Creed, Trey, and Taylor. And Jalen Moore being your sixth man. But I do think if Kingsley does not show that he's good enough to fill that role, I mean, I don't think the Chiefs would hesitate to put Jalen Moore starting left guard. And if anybody goes down, then they put Kingsley at left guard and Jalen Moore and then transitions to. It would be a different moving your left guard to left tackle like they did last year.
Yes.
That if Josh Simmons misses a game or two, that they have to move Jalen Moore to left tackle and put Kingsley at left guard. A little bit different than Joe Tooney doing that. I think that if Jalen Moore is starting, if everybody's healthy and Jalen Moore is starting, it's left guard.
Well, it means you have to win the battle.
Yes.
You're not being given the left tackle spot. You're not being given the left guard spot. Juwan Taylor, a lot of pressure to clean up those penalties.
Well, and I think that the thing about Juwan Taylor, he's not going to be a guy that's going to be playing. They haven't seen him on the left side, and they haven't played him on the left side, and they haven't practiced a snap with him on the left side, whereas Jalen Moore's played both right and left. So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, Juwan Taylor starting at right tackle, and Jalen Moore's ready to go right or left tackle or even guard. And hopefully you clean up the penalties with Juwan Taylor, and cleaning up that knee hopefully makes you a little bit better. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. A couple of things to play off of what we just heard there. Also, Christian Fulton, Hollywood Brown injured, Xavier Worthy in concussion protocol. I want to talk about what a bigger development would be for the Chiefs and news from either side of the football with those. Which is it? Is it the cornerback spot, or are they getting a little bit too thin for a wide receiver group that body type already was literally too thin for some of these guys? We'll talk about that and discuss those coming up next. Thank you, Matt Lane. KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Thank you to a little treat that we're enjoying right now because today is a cool treat as well. Dairy Queen today has their Miracle Treat Day going on throughout the day today. And on Miracle Treat Day, $1 or more from every Blizzard treat that's sold is donated to the local member hospital of Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And we have some Dairy Queen Blizzards that have been dropped off. And I think one of the best Blizzards that I've ever had is the Superman Blizzard they have right now. It is the birthday cake and cookie dough. And yes, I'm a child, I don't care. But the birthday cake with the sprinkles mixed in and the cookie dough, it is the Superman Blizzard right now. And all day today, look, if you want to get a nice little treat, you want to give back to the community as well, then you can do that at Dairy Queen today. What do you got over there, Sterling?
I have the Reese's Blizzard, and oh my goodness, this is delicious. You keep talking.
Okay.
Jack, if you want to talk about anything, feel free. Any trades go down because I'm
looking at
rushing.
the breaking news sounder.
Thank you.
I heard when you take a spoonful, you'll be like 2 to 3 seconds before.
Here, you can do the breaking news center now. Sterling takes bite of Reese's Blizzard.
Is that a breaking news, Jack?
Oh!
You got anything back there?
Oh, baby.
You got anything back there, Jack?
Sorry. I have the chocolate chunk.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The chocolate chunk for you. Yeah. So thank you, Sterling, for that.
I'll have whatever he's having.
Yeah, well, I think you should. Because if you do, you're also helping out the Children's Miracle Network, the local hospital, KU Medical Center.
So I'm eating deliciousness for the kids.
That's right. So July 31st, that's today, all day today. It's called the Miracle Treat Day. $1 or more from every Blizzard treat sold, donated to Children's Miracle Network hospitals and the local hospital, KU Medical Center will be a local hospital at your Children's Miracle Network here in Kansas City. And my family and I probably go to Dairy Queen too much. I don't know if that's true. If that's if there is such a thing,
There's not.
but we do a lot. My wife was like my wife's from a smaller town in Kentucky that when they cruised, that's where they would cruise to was the Dairy Queen in town. Because there wasn't much else in their town besides. She went to a county high school, okay? So you know you're out in an area if the entire county has one high school. So her town, when they would cruise, it would be to the DQ in town. And so she is a huge DQ fan, and we are as a family, and a nice little treat that we enjoy from time to time.
And 19 grams of protein is what I just looked up in my Reese's Blizzard right here. So I'm healthy.
That's what it is.
I'm healthy, and
there it is.
and it's for the kids. I mean, come on now.
It's for the kids, and it's for you and meeting your protein daily requirements. Nice job, dude.
I'm just, health nut.
Yes. So again, all day today, if you're going to be getting a little treat today, or you know what, treat yourself. Treat yourself today with Dairy Queen, and again, every $1 or more from every single Blizzard treat that is sold today in the area at Dairy Queen goes to Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So not only are you enjoying a nice little Blizzard, a nice little treat, but you are also giving back to the kids. So that is awesome. Thank you to Dairy Queen for doing that and giving back to the kids and having a day like today where you've got all day where you can do that, enjoy a little ice cream treat. No football treat for today for the Kansas City Chiefs. They have the day off, and the Royals also have the day off. The GMs around Major League Baseball do not have the day off.
No.
The Detroit Tigers have made a move. Ooh, you can do the breaking news sounder now. You can do it. You can do it. You can. He's going to do the breaking news sounder while you grab yourself a little bite. I mean, I wanted you to play the breaking news sounder without hearing Sterling here. We gotta wait a second. Jack Johnson.
I know. I've tried to play it. It's actually expired, as
What?
Ichiro would say.
Expired.
So I got
expired.
I know.
Expired. We have ants. We have ants here. Expired.
No, because I'll eat every drop of this ice cream. We will not have ants.
We good yet? All right. Here we go. We went through all of that just to say that the Tigers have acquired Kyle Finnegan from the Washington Nationals. They have acquired their closer. I mean, totally. I was really doing that so you could eat some more, because you didn't get your typical noon food. So we have guests at either 11 o'clock or noon oftentimes, and you didn't typically get your, oh, wait, Jason's going to work for the next 20 minutes, so I'm going to sit in here and eat while he, conducts the interview.
Yeah.
So you didn't get your typical thing there, so I had to give you time off.
The issue is...
Is there an issue?
Well, I meal prep sometimes because we have these. See, look, I'm going to talk now so you can eat your Superman ice cream. Jason, question?
What about it?
You're not making enough noises. That's your issue when you eat, Jason. You make more noises.
I care about the listener.
Well, I didn't meal prep this week. I was in Indiana. I got back Sunday. Didn't have time to do my...
So you do the meal prep Sunday for the entire week?
Sunday night, yeah. I'll do chicken, sweet potatoes, and broccoli.
Smart, dude.
Throw some hot sauce on that bad boy.
Hot sauce in my bag.
It's whatever hot sauce that Lebo brings. I just steal that. I figured Lebo wouldn't care.
Louisiana? Hot sauce in
No, it's like a Berman's or I don't know. Whatever he has in there. Valentino's.
Keeps you going back.
Whatever Lebo brings, I don't care what it is. I'm going to use it. And he's probably wondering why it goes down so quickly. I use a lot of hot sauce, and that's more or less what I do.
Okay, so I brought up the question as we went to break about the injuries there. And yes, I mentioned Malik Collins a number of times in the offseason when we were going through free agency and Turk Wharton, he was going to be priced out, but, were you going to pay for a defensive tackle or were you going to draft in a deep defensive tackle draft? And we know the route they went. They went cheaper with Jerry Tillery, 1 year, $1.8 million, as opposed to going with a couple of year contract for a guy like Hargrave that's 2 years, $30 million. Or if you're looking at specialist pass rusher type player, a Malik Collins who's 30 years old, been in the league 9 years, not typically what the Chiefs do in signing guys like that to be major players on the defensive line as pass rushing to take over for a Turk Wharton. But he is a guy that wins a lot and has a pretty decent pass rush win rate.
And he was born in Kansas City, Kansas.
There you go. Where did he went to Nebraska, but I guess I didn't realize that he was a KCK kid.
Born in KCK.
What high school did he go to?
I don't know.
How do I not know that?
Just see KCK.
Usually I try to keep track of as many as possible of the local guys with the high schools. Oh, he went to center?
He went to center.
He went to center? Maybe I talked about it at the time when I was wanting the Chiefs to go and bring in Malik Collins. Maybe I was discussing that and pointing out the local connection there. But he signed 2 years for $20 million with 13 guaranteed. Christian Fulton was 2 years, $20 million, 15 guaranteed. So it's $2 million less guaranteed. So that means it would be a smaller cap hit than Christian Fulton over the next couple of years. So a little bit cheaper than what you have for Christian Fulton. And that matters because if Christian Fulton is not healthy this year, Malik Collins is a guy that's played pretty much every game. He's really durable for a guy that's played 9 years. In fact, if you go through Malik Collins, he played 17 games last year for the 49ers, 16 in 2023, 15. Like, he's played in pretty much every single game outside of, like, 1 or 2. He had 5 sacks last year, 5 sacks the year before. Also is a guy that, has 74 combined tackles the last 2 years as a defensive tackle. Right? I mean, it's not easy to get tackles as a defensive tackle. It's not something you're going to be racking up. But to go with 5 sacks and 40 tackles over the course of the season, he was relatively affordable. The Chiefs chose cornerback, which I was fine with. This is not revisionist history now. I will tell you at the time, when we found out of the Christian Fulton contract, I was good with that over a defensive tackle and guys that we had talked about of what may be the contract there, because of what it would mean at multiple positions for the Chiefs. They would get better at the slot, and you add somebody else on the outside that can go along with Watson or Williams or Najee Johnson, somebody else into the mix, into the group that's been there, done that, a good physical player that Steve Spagnuolo likes. I was fine with that. So it's not revisionist of, I told you guys to get Malik Collins, look, Christian Fulton's injured. It was always the part of the man, if Fulton can stay healthy. If Fulton can stay healthy. And you hate to have those conversations when you bring somebody in of, this guy's been banged up, I hope he can stay healthy. Because that's the perpetual conversation of the Chargers for 20 years. Oh, you signed this guy, hopefully he can stay healthy. Well, odds are he can. You know, Hollywood Brown, we saw that last year. Man, if Hollywood stays healthy, yeah, well, he didn't. Immediately did not stay healthy. Already injured this year. Ankle, I think if they practiced yesterday, then he would have been back yesterday. Heck, if they practiced yesterday, or practiced today, I mean. If they practiced today, I think he would have practiced yesterday. But the fact that they were off today, they went ahead and held him out of practice yesterday. I think he'll be back at practice on Friday. He'll be back there tomorrow. Xavier Worthy, we'll see when he's out of the concussion protocol. Oddly enough, he left practice on Tuesday with the head, practice yesterday, and then concussion protocol for Xavier Worthy. Regardless, he is in the concussion protocol right now, and I wonder what a bigger impact would be to this team is if Christian Fulton were to battle injuries this year, or one of those wide receivers battling injury this year.
Let's say Hollywood, because I
let's do that, yeah.
Because I do think
Xavier Worthy is
more
it's a
important
concussion
at this point.
But it's a concussion, and in concussion protocol, hitting his head. He was healthy all last year. He was healthy at Texas the entire time he was there.
Correct.
An ankle for Hollywood sort of goes right in line with an ankle, a hamstring, a calf, a shoulder. You know,
something
different things along the way. Xavier Worthy landing and hitting his head, you know, a certain way off the turf. I don't look at that as like, wow, this guy's body is maybe just not built for keeping up in the NFL.
Correct, and I think that's the fair comparison here is Hollywood, the veterans too, Hollywood and Fulton. I think for me, the bigger loss would be Fulton. I'm a firm believer in Fulton. I love the signing.
Yeah, I both like the signing.
I was extremely optimistic about it. I knew the concerns with the injury, and obviously we knew exactly what happened with the cleaning up of the surgically repaired knee, so we knew that was already going to be a wait-and-see process with Christian Fulton. Hopefully that does end up allowing him to come back healthier and play through it, and there's no pain. It is a little concerning that it's still this long, lingering this long post cleanup surgery. But again, I just think that allows Najee Johnson and Josh Williams and maybe even Jalen Watson to be moved down. Maybe that does allow McDuffie to move back into the slot with Watson and Fulton on the outside. Maybe it allows Noah Williams to really get his feet underneath him and not have to play at all, hopefully, as a rookie. I just have a whole bunch of hope for Christian Fulton. I mean, Hollywood Brown, yes, but I do think the Chiefs are multiple enough at wide receiver. I do have concerns, obviously, with however many games Rashee Rice is going to miss. That's what you're going to have to deal with, obviously. But just what Xavier Worthy did last year when Rice went down and learned every single wide receiver spot and was effective any time he was on the field, you already have at least a legitimate threat in Worthy. I think Hollywood can be a little duplicate in that regard.
Yeah, I think what Hollywood does, there's a redundancy to what Hollywood could do for this team at times, but what the offense can look like if Rice and Hollywood and Xavier Worthy and Kelsey were all on the field at the same time. They did that one play last year in preseason. So if you can see a game, let's see what a game looks like with that. Probably not going to get it for a while because Rashee Rice is more than likely going to miss the first couple, 3-4 weeks of the season with the suspension. So that would mean that Hollywood and Xavier Worthy and Kelsey will all have to remain healthy until Rashee Rice gets back for us to see that more often. But we saw this team, get choked up talking
Do you do
about
that too? A lot of people, when you have ice cream, it makes you cough.
No, that's not that. I was taking a breath to continue talking, and as I was taking a breath,
Well, it's the cold air. It was a blizzard. There's a blizzard in your mouth.
Yes, that's what it is. There has been a blizzard in my mouth this entire segment because Dairy Queen has their Children's Miracle Network Day going on today. Throughout the day, $1 for $1 or more on every blizzard that is purchased in the area today goes to the Children's Miracle Network. But the hope that's there with Fulton is how much it can make the slot better, and then the cornerback room better overall. Whereas we saw this team make the playoffs, make the Super Bowl without all of those guys healthy.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Sure.
And yes, we saw this team do the same thing last year with McDuffie playing on the outside and having the rotation of Jalen Watson and Najee Johnson and those guys and Shamari Connor. I just think we're talking about what I believe to be the best team in the AFC is the Chiefs, roster-wise. Christian Fulton is a decent part of that because, to me, it's two positions that it impacts. Hollywood, I believe, impacts one, like his spot that he's playing.
Yeah.
But Christian Fulton can impact two positions. If he's not there, yes, they get better at his spot with Trent McDuffie there, but I think they get significantly worse at the slot position when Trent McDuffie's not playing it.
We should do, I know for ZOU's a little bit away now,
Uh-huh.
who plays more games, Hollywood or Fulton?
That should be a ZOU. Let's remember that one. By the way, the Chris Boob ZOU, that one hurt.
Was it at 21.5?
21.5, and he's at 20. I had the over for Chris Boob.
I believe I did too.
You had the over. I think Jack had the over. So Mick
the hater.
Mick is loving Chris Boobich's injury. I mean, he was celebrating the text he was sending.
He did send what was the number for the Boob ZOUs?
Which made me go back and look, and I'm like, oh no, that was a point for me because he was pacing for like 30. And all he needed was like 3 more starts.
That was bad for me. Bad news bear. Worse for Bubich and the Royals, but also bad for our bet that no one really ever pays up on.
Everybody pays up. It's just a matter of which gift card you get. We'll take a time out more so next. Johnny Stopper, we're giving away an hour from now with some sports or leisure.
Got the gift cards, baby.
Trade deadline day upon us. 5 more hours to go before the trade deadline wraps up and expires. Big movers, the San Diego Padres, the Seattle Mariners, the Philadelphia Phillies, the New York Mets. A lot of relievers on the move. Detroit Tigers have just traded for a closer. The Guardians are selling. We'll see what the Royals end up doing. Scott Sharp yesterday saying, a Michael Lorenzen-type player. We'll see if they acquire somebody in the next 5 hours.
That song too, OK Go. Love that song that you played.
I panicked and clicked something.
I love OK Go. I like that song.
Okay. I thought it was interesting when you went, okay, go. I didn't know that was the song.
By the way, Lebo, of course, was listening to this one time when I'm talking about hot sauce. He comes in at the break and goes, "You're buying the hot sauce next time."
Yeah.
It's almost out again.
There you go. It's you're the one that's doing it. You were the one that was taking the hot sauce and not telling him you were taking the hot sauce.
I'm a big hot sauce guy.
Yeah, but you weren't telling him.
He knew. He didn't know how much, though.
Clearly.
I said, could I borrow some?
Yeah, borrow means you're going to give some back eventually.
Well, you just say that. You don't actually give it back. It just sounds nicer and more polite.
Note to self, don't let Sterling buy
Can I borrow your Blizzard?
No, don't let Sterling borrow anything. Note to self. We'll never have
Well,
good to know. No,
if it's like a
I appreciate
mechanical thing, like a lawnmower, I'll give it back.
Dude, I appreciate the
I don't want to keep it in my garage. I said you have a mower. I need a mower.
I appreciate you letting me know that if you borrow something, you are not going to give it back.
I'm an honest man.
Except for when you steal from people under the assumption of borrowing.
Well, but I'm pretty upfront about it.
Can I borrow this? You won't get it back. That's up front.
Well, it sounds, can I borrow some hot sauce? It sounds way better than I'm going to take your hot sauce, Lebo, and drench my healthy food in it.
The Philadelphia Phillies are landing in another player in the trade deadline, a player that had been talked about connected with the Royals. Not connected to the Royals in that there were reports or talks of the Royals being interested, like from any national people, but those of us around that are talking about different players that could fit the profile of what they would be looking at. Harrison Bader is now a Philadelphia Philly from the Minnesota Twins. Harrison Bader, and they get, as Bob Nightingale tweets here, the Twins will receive 2 lightly regarded prospects.
If you are a Twins fan, how pissed off are you? I mean, I understand this year's not gone quite the way you thought, but Duran had years left of control. Mm-hmm. Harrison Bader's had a really nice year this year. You basically not only just threw in the towel for this year, but it seems like you're almost perpetuating that you're trying to do a rebuild. There was talks about Correa being moved. If I were a Twins fan, I'd be pissed. I mean, they are acting like the Pirates right now as far as monetary speaking, and I just don't get it.
Well, if they don't see it as, one, we're not going to be able to do anything this year, and next year is going to be sort of part of the rebuilding, then you might as well just rip the Band-Aid off and say, can we get anything? Duran's going to be under contract through 28, so you'd have 3 more years of Duran, but you're also going to have to start paying him, and if you don't feel like you're going to be really competing next year, then you want to be paying Duran for a closer that you don't feel like is going to be worthwhile because you aren't feeling like you're going to be competing. If that's the strategy behind this whole thing.
Yes, I mean, they had...
Because trading him right now, the next team can either go into arbitration or buy out arbitration years or do what they want with him since he's now arbitration eligible. He made $4 million this year as an escalator, and then the next 3 years he'll have arbitration, 26, 27, and then 28, and then free agency. They got back the number 56 overall prospect in all of baseball, Eduardo Tate from Philadelphia.
Sure.
And we'll see what they got back for it. And not much for Harrison Bader. So the Twins and
well, that's an expiring contract.
Twins and Phillies have been on the phone the last 24 hours or so.
But there's been talks about Willie Castro and Carlos Correa and Griffin Jax.
Right, yeah.
I mean, to me, I guess maybe, and this is, I should have maybe led with this. There was the whole situation with Rocco Baldelli last night, and he pulled Willie Castro in the 9th inning. It's been handled extremely poorly. Feels like he's lost the clubhouse. Guys are irritated. Griffin Jax was pissed off last night. I mean, this entire situation going down with Minnesota.
He'll be less pissed off when he finds out he's got a destination that could be going to the playoffs soon.
No, but it's even if you get traded or not. There's been no conversations. It felt like, and the players have spoke out about it now, which is a little rare in this situation, right? A lot of times players are. I'm glad, or they were always transparent with me. It just sounds like Rocco and the Twins have been hiding things from the players, and players have spoken out now about it. Again, if I were a Twins fan, I would feel some type of way.
Yeah. I would be happy about it if I was the Twins depending on what you got back and what you felt like the near future was. What you would be concerned about is, are you trading off these pieces to not have to pay any more money for them because of the whole sale of the organization, the franchise?
Yep.
Then I'm pissed. Then if it's connected there, which it could be. I'm not in Minnesota. I'm not in the Twin Cities covering it on a day-to-day basis. Certainly there have been people that have written about that, about some of this to handle the debt and the $1.7 billion for sale of the team and all that stuff, whatever may be going on there. Anytime you're bringing in new ownership, you don't really know what's going to happen. We didn't really know what to expect of John Sherman with new ownership. And what we found out is he's been willing to pay. He's been willing to spend money.
Been great.
And that has gone over incredibly well in the clubhouse. But
Vinny even giving him credit.
Right. But I also think you can't just go out there and be willing to spend money. You can be an owner that's willing to spend money. There are plenty of high payroll teams that suck. All right? You can spend a lot of money and not make playoffs.
Oh, of course.
You can spend no money and make the playoffs. You can spend little money and make the playoffs. You can spend no money and not make the playoffs. Just depending on the people you have around you. But as an owner, if you're willing to spend money, who are the people that you put in place? And that's what has also been different with this regime from what was the unknown. So he hires and elevates J.J. Picollo. There were certainly concerns and questions about if this is just Dayton 2.0. Is he the same guy as Dayton? Is he going to run it the same way? We found out very quickly that wasn't the case. Revamping everything in the minor leagues, going to a more holistic approach, going to the body, mechanic, functioning, specific workouts and details based on arm action, pitch shape, release point, how their body fits with certain pitches, the overall development being revamped, and analytics and more of an investment in that. But also hiring of Matt Quattrero, for as many criticisms as people have of him. By the way, shout out to you. I mean, you want to talk about bullpen management. They got through 9 guys out there yesterday with a shutout. What 10 innings, 2 walks, 5 hits, and 10 Ks? I mean, that's a hell of a pitcher. Now, you can't do that every night, but that's a hell of a pitcher that they threw out there, and he had to manage that. Now, he had a day off today, but managing that with guys that had pitched the day before, or the day before that, or guys that had pitched 3 out of 4 days. Yeah. It was hey, who can't pitch today? Put your hand down. Put your hand down. Who can't pitch today? I said put your hand down. Okay, cool. We're all ready? Everybody can pitch today. Sounds good.
Thomas Hatch is going, I can pitch. I can pitch.
No, actually, you put your hand. Anybody else? Can anybody pitch today? Thomas Hatch. Me. I mean, anybody. Can anybody pitch today? Cags, how's your arm? You're on the IL. Damn it. Can anybody pitch today? Anybody. Can they pitch today? Thomas Hatch. Me. But that's what yesterday was essentially, right? Is anybody sore? Can anybody not go? That's what I thought. We're all ready to go. Let's go win a game. Right, and you have to handle it. Calling the right guys at the right time. Taking guys out early if you have to. Guys that only pitch 2/3 of an inning.
Honestly, Jonathan Bolin only making sure he went 2. I mean, he's been a long reliever or a...
If they're,
not late game, big time situation.
There are criticisms that are out there, and if there are criticisms, then there has to be a giving them flowers for yesterday's management of that game that they won. They didn't win 10-8.
Yeah.
Right? They won 1-0. You couldn't give up 2 runs in that game, as it turns out. You gave up none. You won the game. It was a big moment heading into an off day before a road trip, and capping off this homestand before you get ready to go on a rough road trip, the first 6 against teams you're chasing in the standings. That would have been tough to lose 1-0 heading out on the road when you felt like the offense was figuring some things out. But you didn't. You won 1-0, and it doesn't matter the offense struggled in that game. They have been playing so much better that you can sort of dismiss that one and chalk it up if you're the offense, if you're the players, if you're the lineup, and go, we'll figure it out. The pitching bailed us out. We bailed out the pitching a little bit as of late. Recently. The pitching has bailed out the offense a lot this year. And that's what happened yesterday. That's why it's a team game. So
no India, right? Also, no India. You had Tolbert, who, by the way, got one of the hits. Yeah. It's actually a really nice piece of hitting Tolbert had, too. Instead of maybe a John Ray.
I'm liking what I've seen from Tolbert. I would rather him not get picked off a couple of times, but he's been good at stealing bases. The one caught stealing was BS.
Yeah, the one where he was up by a millimeter. That's the one that I'm still working on my letter to Rod Manfred on.
Yeah, that's the one caught stealing is he was actually safe.
But I do give a huge shout out to Sam Long, who a guy that we've probably all ripped on a lot this year. I know I've said I would have rather seen Evan Sisk in the majors than Sam Long. But last night, runner on second base, in that situation, to buckle down, give up a leadoff single to Ozzie Albies, who Ozzie, I don't know how he pulled that pitch. That's one that you typically roll over on, and Ozzie was able to muscle it through shortstop and third base for a single. And then Sam Long just buckled down. A couple strikeouts. Obviously, that final one, he gave a line drive hard hit to a guy batting 105. Got a little nervous there, but end of the day, he got the job done. 18 pitches, 17 strikes. Yeah, he threw a couple pitches that I think were little hanging curves. But he also had a couple of really nice backdoor sliders that I thought were really nice. That fastball on the inside was just perfect. I mean, I'll give Sam Long a lot of credit. You could see the emotion of, for me, the emotion of Long. I almost wonder if it was a weight lifted off his shoulders. A guy who's been struggling all year long. We know about the 1 year he's good, 1 year he's bad. This lined up the bad year. We knew that. I wonder if it was a little weight lifted off his shoulders of, if I'm able to go out and do that, I feel like I'm back. I hope that's the way it is with Sam, because there's not a lefty in this bullpen that has stepped up all year long.
Zerpa from time to time.
From time to time, but not consistently.
But he's been better than Sam Long. But that was a big inning. Sam Long had to have that inning and pitch that way. You're right. It probably felt like a huge weight. And for me, it was pumped up. And I think for a number of reasons. One, you get out of that one, and you feel like, if we get out of this with no runs, we're winning. We're going to win. We got Salvi up, and and Salvi, the second pitch. It's not picking on the guy, okay? It's not picking on the guy. Could MJ have gotten a worse read on that one?
I was like, how is he not home yet?
He didn't take off for third until the ball landed. He didn't take off for third until the ball landed. Honestly, I think there's a chance that if the Braves had been playing that, we've got a guy that's running really slow and actually got there quick, came up throwing.
Like it was Vinny. Like it would have been Vinny on.
I mean, it might have, but they approached that as if we're not going to get him, so it doesn't matter. The game's over here. But he pauses, looks back, stays there, it lands, then he takes off.
I'm glad you said that.
It's one of the worst reads that I've seen anybody have. I couldn't. Anyway, not to pick on the guy, but
Salvi coming through. I love a mixed tweet after the game saying, "Can the Royals just play the NL the entire time? Because the NL pitchers just throw to Salvi.
They throw strikes to Salvi.
The AL pitchers are like, no, we're throwing you sliders low away." And I was like, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what his hole is.
I was just saying, other way, opposite field. Just take the opposite field. It only took two pitches for him to go opposite field.
I was going to say that when you look at a guy like MJ and why he had the read that he did, anybody that's played baseball growing up, when you're not playing well or you've struggled in the game, you're very conservative and hesitant because you don't want to be the guy to make the brutal mistake. And he probably was thinking on second, if I have to go from second to third, from third to home, I'm okay. Yeah. The last thing that can happen is that I get doubled off here. I get picked off like Tolbert did the other day. Because I'm not hitting three. If Bobby Wood Jr. gets picked off or Michael Garcia does, you're upset they did it because it's a two plan. But at the end of the day, you can live with it because they put you in a position to win the game. Unlike MJ, who's coming off cold from the bench.
Yeah, exactly, because you're not only that you're pinch running for Vinny, so that means Vinny's bat's out of the lineup. If you don't score, now you get into the process of you may have to come up later in the game in the number 3 spot and in a big spot now instead of just because at that point you're right. Once I was saying opposite field for Salvi, because even if it's a ground ball, get Vinny third. Opposite field, go the other way, get him over to third, and hopefully win the game with a single, swinging bunt or a fly ball that's a sac fly. But anyway, all that to what I was getting at with, the Twins versus what the Royals and Seth Lugo and that deal, and Mike Walker and that deal, and taking on a little bit of payroll with Randall Grichuk and Adam Frazier, taking on money to the payroll, and eating the money with Dozier. eating the money with Renfro is we didn't know what the new regime would look like. But hiring Quattrero, arguing about, bullpen management or whatever, or if he's fiery enough, he's also a guy that hired Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove. You want to know why Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo and those guys are perfectly fine re-signing and staying in Kansas City, and Lorenzen as well? The relationship they have with the staff, the coaching staff, the other players, but Sweeney, Bove, Quattrero, Mitch Stetter in the bullpen, all these different guys that are a part of the pitching coaching staff, that matters. And Seth Lugo feels like he's got a really good thing going here, along with his family, wife and kids liking the area. Not a surprise. We know that when people typically move here, they're like, wow, didn't realize how great it was here. Liking the area, wanting to stay. But if Matt Quattrero was the manager and they had just some, again, this is just a name, whatever, Cal Eldred. Is Seth Lugo going, I'm going to take my chances in the open market. I'm going to turn down the player option, and I'm going to be a free agent somewhere else. I'm not going to sign a long-term extension. If it's Eldred and pre-Q,
Sure.
Who was the
Pedro Grifol.
No, Cardinals manager. That was
Mike Matheny.
Matheny and Eldred. Is Lugo and Wacha, are they signing extensions with the team?
Probably not.
I don't know, but I would say probably not.
Not for that number.
Yeah, but it's a good call. Not for that number, because Lugo on the open market would get more than what he got here in that deal. But I think that's part of Sweeney and Bove and Quattrero. But also it's John Sherman willing to pay that. Yeah. So everybody on board there. And I hope the Royals and John Sherman will also continue to open the purse strings if somebody comes calling for Brian Sweeney. To then say, no, we're not going to let you go, we're going to pay you more.
Because the pitching development and that change has been so dramatic. It has gone from, and again, I know we keep saying not trying to pick these guys, but we went from Brady Singer and Daniel Lynch and
Grady and Lyles.
But even the young guys. And none of them could figure it out, and eventually Singer did figure it out, and that was with Sweeney and Bove, and then it was Lynch now becoming at least a somewhat useful bullpen arm. We never saw even really glimpses until this regime change, and now you're seeing just a plethora of guys come up, and it's almost like Tampa Bay or Cleveland, where it's just Noah Cameron. Guy goes down. I can't remember a time when Noah Cameron, think of the previous 10 years, 15, 20 years. Who was the guy that came up and you're like, wow, that pitcher hit the ground running?
Isn't it so funny, though, because even in this year with Jack Caglione, we're talking, we've had the arguments or the discussion about why isn't Noah Cameron being noticed more for Rookie of the Year. Right? We've had that a couple of different times, especially around the All-Star break and then post-All-Star break when they had the MLB.com put out the Rookie of the Years, like the top 5 or whatever. We're like, why isn't Noah Cameron talked about it a little bit more? And even we are guilty to a degree of overlooking Noah Cameron, because I know on this radio, on this show, that we have said with Jack struggling, like, man, wouldn't it be nice if a rookie just comes up and just kills it right out of the gates? Just comes up and just boom, this guy is awesome. This guy's really good from the start.
Yeah.
We've had those discussions about Jack Caglione. Well, Noah Cameron's sitting there going, hello?
I guess hitter. I was thinking hitter.
I know, but when I think about Jack Caglione, why can't anybody just come up and be really good right away? In my mind, it goes to hitter. Right? It goes immediately to a position player. But Noah Cameron's in there going, 2 ERA. Hey, guy. Amazing start. Remember, it was me and Fernando Mania. Remember us having those conversations? Yeah. Hit the ground running.
But you look at even Bubic, and since from when he first started to now, you look at Cole Reagans. They fixed Aroldis Chapman. I still believe that. I fully believe that this Royals pitching staff fixed Aroldis Chapman. They told him, too. Remember, they said, if you sign here, we think we can bring you back the Aroldis that you were. And what happened? He's back to the Aroldis that he once was. And that's, I think, a huge credit to the Royals pitching staff. Steven Cruz, another guy gets called up. He does it. Now, it's not going to be every guy. We saw Andrew Hoffman get absolutely shelled. We've seen dudes. It's not going to always work. But again, we're seeing a much larger hit rate than we've ever seen before in the past 15, 20 years of this Royals pitching staff.
And with that Chapman deal, you bring in Chapman, you help fix him. You move him for somebody that you see potential in.
Sure.
That if you can get him in and work with him a little bit, this guy's got front-end starter ace-type stuff. In this Cole Reagans guy.
Sorry, 10 years, by the way. Not 15, 20, 10 years.
But this Cole Reagans guy that was a former first-round draft pick and is sort of at Tommy John, two Tommy John surgeries when it was one, and then another one fixed the first one. But you've got to recognize that, get him in and work with him, and then maximize what he has. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're willing to pay for Lugo, right? And Vinny Pasquantino calling it a baller move. That small market teams don't do these things. The Twins are selling off. They just traded another reliever, Brock Stewart, to the Dodgers. Just now. So the Dodgers just traded for Brock Stewart. That means Griffin Jackson's going to have to be traded soon, right? There's no reason for you to trade Duran and Stewart and not move Griffin Jackson. Just try to all-out sale whatever's going on. So you've got that going on in Minnesota, while the Royals are re-signing Lugo, Walker what they did, making a move for Grichuk, making a move for Adam Frazier, and Pasquantino calling it a baller move. But I hope that John Sherman will then make the same commitment when, no doubt, another team will come calling for Brian Sweeney. Yeah. There's no way around Major League Baseball you can see what's going on in Kansas City with pitching and not say, let's go get that guy. Hey, let's go double his salary. Or college baseball. Let's go get this guy. He's making $200,000 with the Royals. We're going to pay him $750 to come down here and work in college baseball with us because we've got crazy money now in the SEC. We got revenue sharing, all these things. This guy's going to work with some of the best pitchers at high schoolers and the college ranks, and he's been doing some. We're going to go and triple his salary, and you're going to come down to the college ranks unless the Royals want to open up their purse strings to keep him. That's another commitment John Sherman had to make.
Two things being reported as well, not a done deal, but Mark Feinstein just went on MLB Network and said it is increasingly unlikely the White Sox will deal Luis Robert ahead of the trade deadline. And then another part to this was reported by John Rossi, I believe, or at least I saw on time on John Rossi, Stephen Kwan increasingly likely that he will be dealt by the 5 p.m. deadline.
Yeah, I think the Guardians are going to get a pretty decent haul back. Because I think if it's Padres, like it was reported earlier by Nightingale, if it's Padres and Dodgers, and those teams that hate each other are going to get in a bidding war for the best possible outfield player,
maybe Yankees too,
available. Well, if the Yankees get in, that's fine. I'm talking about Dodgers and Padres right there that hate each other.
Sure.
And believe you're not getting Kwan. Okay, Cleveland, we'll give you this. Okay, Dodgers, San Diego's offering this. Bleep them, we'll give you this.
Yeah.
They are not getting Kwan. If we have to overpay for them not to get Kwan, we'll overpay so that they don't get Kwan and we do. Because that's a big difference. Not only you not getting him, it's your rival getting him.
Yeah.
So Cleveland's in a pretty... We talk about who's going to be the opportunists of this trading market.
The Athletics so far.
The Athletics, right, with Mason Miller. And it might be the Guardians with Kwan, who's got team control. But are you in a position where you might be able to just rob an organization for Kwan because of who's available?
Yeah.
And if it's Dodgers and Padres going back and forth in a rivalry aspect, and both teams, by the way, willing to make trades and move prospects.
I do think Arizona's been a team that's been a little more under the radar than I expected. I mean, yeah, they've traded some guys, but I thought they might get a little more.
We'll see what Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen and Lourdes Gurriel.
And I've heard more about Sandy Alcantara. Looks like his market's starting to pick up, what I've seen from some pretty major accounts. Griffin Jacks, I just keep looking and look at the numbers that are down here. He's 2 years left of arbitration. Love the Royals to get a guy who's the 100th percentile in chase percentage, 98th percentile in strikeout, even with a 4.5 ERA this year. There'd be a different flavor of the Royals bullpen, 72 strikeouts in 46 innings.
Also, I'd like to see the Twins go ahead and trade Joe Ryan, too. I mean, if they're going to do it, just do it. Just find yourself in the White Sox the next couple of years. That'd be great. In the American League Central, the Royals are feeling like they're going to compete in 2026.
Yeah.
Just get the Twins and the White Sox back behind you.
But also,
get Ryan out of there, Kwan out of there, Griffin Jacks out of there, Duran out of there.
You're looking at the Royals and Detroit.
Yeah.
Just those two instead of this year we thought it was a four-way battle.
Because Kwan, Bieber, Well, Clase may be out of baseball just in general.
Sure.
In Cleveland. So
Cade Smith, I believe, is somebody else that can move.
Right. So
Yeah,
Cade
he's all-
Smith, Quan, Bieber, Clase from Cleveland, and maybe, well, already Duran, already Bader, gone anyway, but
Willie
Stewart,
Castro probably from
Willie
Minnesota.
Castro,
They're going to be
Griffin Jacks,
completely stripped when the Royals.
hopefully Joe Ryan. They'll still have Royce Lewis in his 40 games per year.
Buxton's on the IL.
Yeah. Correa could be moved.
Could be
3 really good players who are always injured: Correa, Buxton, and Royce Lewis.
Yeah. And Royce Lewis, by the way, is just destroying the baseball the last few weeks. If he
Always
can-
does.
I know, if he can stay healthy. He's healthy for a month and OPS at 1.2. Then he gets injured.
He's Mike Trout
only more injured.
somehow. Yeah.
Seems like. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We will talk some football on the other side of the break. We're going to go through the positional groups. We're going to set a baseline here today on training camp, 2 weeks in, what we think about each positional group, where it was compared to last year. Are they better or worse on paper right now? And we'll reassess this when we get to the beginning of the regular season after watching the rest of training camp and the preseason games. But we're going to set a baseline as to what we feel right now from what we've seen for a little bit in practice, if they're better or worse at each positional group compared to the team that was on the field against the Eagles. We'll take a timeout. More zone next. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Jack Johnson. Heading up until 2 o'clock, a half hour from now, we'll play some sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern.
Fact.
All right. 73%. Over. Let's go through the positional groups of the Chiefs. Right now, our assessment on paper compared to their Super Bowl team last year that played in the Super Bowl. So how much better are they or worse at certain positional groups? We'll start with quarterback. It could be even as well. Could be better, worse, or the same. I'll go first. I think they're better. It's the same as quarterback, but as an overall group, I like Gardner Minshew as a backup. Maybe even slightly. Could be 50.1 to 49.9. But I would go better, but I'd be perfectly fine with saying it's the same as Patrick Mahomes. It's all good and keep it moving.
Yeah, I think it's maybe slightly. You know my thoughts. I love Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Love Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, you do.
I also think Carson Wentz is a damn fine backup. I don't think he's a starting caliber quarterback anymore, but he's a damn fine backup. I'll say even because I don't want to. I don't think it's enough of a boost for your backup quarterback. I like Bailey Zappi too. Like honestly, I like Bailey Zappi, but I'll say even because it's basically Patrick and Patrick.
Yeah.
I maybe am gonna not necessarily recency bias because it was the last game of the season, and he was dealing with backups against starters. I believe Gardner Minshew being a starter for a chunk of the season last year is an upgrade over Wentz, who, man, every time he was in there, you would think that he'd be able to work with the Chiefs' play calling, even though it was going to be very vanilla in that game. I feel that if Gardner Minshew at any point in the season needed to step in and start a game, he could give you better production than even Chad Henne or Carson Wentz could have.
I agree with Chad Henne for sure as far as production. I guess my thing is there was all backups in. I don't take anything.
And conservative play calling.
Yeah, I don't take anything from Carson Wentz in that Week 18 game. I really don't.
Poor fella.
So, yeah, I felt bad for him. I'm like, yeah, maybe it was like Week 12 or something. I do like Gardner Minshew a lot,
I
though.
got the check cleared, so I didn't really feel bad for him. But
Hey, fair.
About that game check cleared. All right, let's move on to running back. Sterling, we'll start with you. Better, worse, the same running back room from the Super Bowl game.
Super Bowl game.
To what we expect it to be.
Okay.
Or what we think on paper it is right now. So you can come up with whatever four you think are going to be in that room compared to the four that were there last year.
I'll say slightly better.
Okay.
Slightly better because it's a lot of the same. It's Pacheco. It's Kareem Hunt. I like Elijah Mitchell, but no Samaje Perine. I'm surprised we never saw more Samaje. That's one of those ones that's a little surprising. I think we all kind of felt like that as the year went on. Why there was no more Samaje. And I guess Rashard Smith over, Carson Steele, I guess would be the four. This is slightly better. Again, I'm a little concerned about no Samaje, but I'm really high on Rashard, and I'm pretty high on Elijah.
What do you go with, Jack?
I'm actually going to say slightly worse.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
I just don't know if you're going to get as productive of a year that you got from Kareem Hunt. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he has a little bit of a step back. Pacheco, I'm not sold, even though he was hurt all of last year, basically. I'm not sold he can be that guy from 2 years ago. And then you have some uncertainty. Elijah Mitchell, the history with injuries, and I love Rashard Smith. I love the pick. We know they have success taking running backs later on in the draft. But I don't want to fall for any training camp hype until I actually see him in a regular season game.
Totally get it. I'm going better on this one, and the reason I'm going better is, and some of this, by the way, can be injury induced, or I think Pacheco, and the Chiefs certainly think Pacheco is going to be better based on healthier this year. But even if we put that aside and we just say Pacheco to Pacheco as your starter, Perine and Steele out, Elijah Mitchell and Rashard Smith in. And it's not just a 3 and 4 running back to 3 and 4 running back. I think what it does is it moves Kareem Hunt into the Samaje Perine role of just being a third down back.
Yeah, I agree.
Come out of the backfield, receive the ball, short yardage situations where Perine was a guy in the third down back, but with Pacheco out, it was like Hunt your starter and Perine's your backup. But when Pacheco was in there, it was Hunt your starter, Pacheco's your starter, Hunt's in there, and then Perine coming in as the third down back. Whereas I think Elijah Mitchell gives you more juice than Kareem Hunt, where you can still use Kareem Hunt in the same exact role that you used in short yardage situations that you used him last year, but more even in a third down role when he's a very willing pass protector and really good receiver out of the backfield that Pirine was. Mitchell not necessarily that guy, where you can have Pacheco and Mitchell being guys that can maybe split some handoffs from time to time, and then Brashard Smith over Steele. Even if Brashard Smith isn't a game breaker at times like you would hope, you'd still be getting really more than what you got from Carson Steele. That was just at the beginning of the season, and then that fumble, and kind of didn't really see much after that outside of kickoff return. So I'm going better in the running back room because I think we're going to see Kareem Hunt slide down into the Pirine role. And Elijah Mitchell and Isaiah Pacheco, maybe that combo being better than what you got from Pacheco and Kareem Hunt last year. We start with you on this one, Jack. We're going to combine wide receiver and tight end. So wide receiver and tight end, are you guys good with that, or do you want to separate it?
I'm good with it.
I combined it. Yeah, 2 out of 3. We outvoted.
I was going to separate it.
We
Yeah.
combined it, wide receiver and tight end. We're going to separate cornerback and safety.
Thank you.
So we'll do that. But wide receiver, tight end.
I believe simply because of health reasons, and let's wait and see what happens with Hollywood Brown, and of course Xavier Worthy was in the concussion protocol. Based purely on health, they got to be drastically better because you went into the regular season without Hollywood Brown, who was banged up. You still had some uncertainty on who the number 3, number 4 wide receiver could be. Worthy was a rookie at that point in time. Now he's got another year under his belt. If you could get Rashee Rice back for week 1 early on, we know suspension is likely coming at some point. But if you can have Rice early on in the season, second year Worthy, you also have Hollywood Brown, Jalen Royals could be a nice number 4, number 5 guy. Juju was praised by Nagy the other day. I believe it's drastically improved, just simply if the health part of it can stay in a positive manner.
I went with much better as well. And the reason I went much better as opposed to just slightly better is, one, health is part of it, but having Rashee Rice out there, if in the Super Bowl, the 5 wide receivers that played a snap in the Super Bowl, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, DeAndre Hopkins, and Justin Watson. Those are your 5. On paper right now, and again, Hollywood ankle, I think he would have practiced yesterday if they had practiced today. I think he's practicing tomorrow. But on paper right now, your 5 would be Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Jalen Royals. And if you have an improved Travis Kelce, extra motivated Travis Kelce, another year under his belt, Noah Gray, Jared Wiley returning, and maybe a Robert Tonyan that could be an add-in receiving threat, tight end, maybe goal line situation, things like that. I think it's a much better unit for Mahomes to pass to throw to as a whole than it was last year in that game against the Eagles.
Yeah, the Robert Tonyan one is interesting in the tight end room, which is why I wanted to split it up because I do think it's better with the tight end. Wide receiver is interesting because on paper, what's so hard for me is if you went with not just a Super Bowl, what it was supposed to be last year of Rice, Worthy, Hollywood, Juju, you're basically switching out Jalen Royals for Justin Watson, and I think you would take at this point in their careers Watson, and then because Watson at least you knew what you were getting blocking for your wide receiver 5. The issue is we know they were not able to stay healthy last year, so this is again a lot of projection of how many games is Rice going to miss, and can Hollywood stay healthy? I'm going yes, much better. I think Tyquan Thornton's the interesting name to watch. I think Tyquan Thornton's real interesting actually. Especially if Rice misses early games. That means instead of 1 spot for wide receiver 6, you have 2 spots open, which means you have Nico Remigio, Tyquan Thornton, and maybe Sky Moore still fighting for 2 spots. Those 3 fighting for 2. I think Thornton's kind of fascinating to me, I guess. Maybe it's going to end up being Richie James all over again. But, yeah, I'll go better. But, again, it's basically all health-related because on paper it's the exact same almost as what you started with last year. The difference is instead of Royals, it's Watson. Although, again, I will say Worthy, obviously now year 2 versus rookie.
Let's go to the offensive line now. And, again, this is based on what we think on paper right now versus the Super Bowl offensive line. Okay, so
that's a big caveat.
It is absolutely, because I think when we talk about, oh my God, they got smoked by the Eagles, are they going to be better at offensive line this year than they were against the Eagles? Well, I say yes. I say right now on paper, because you're replacing Joe Tooney, the left tackle, and Caliendo, the left guard. You're not replacing Kingsley and Wanya at left tackle and Joe Tooney at left guard.
Yeah.
We're talking about what they did against the Eagles last year, because that's the game they played. That's when they got smoked. And this is now entering the season. And how much better are they at the offensive line than when they got smoked by the Eagles and the defensive line just dominated them? Are they better and more equipped to protect Patrick Mahomes now on paper 2 weeks into camp? And I say yes. I think Josh Simmons as a rookie will be as or better, I hope better, than what Joe Tooney was as a left tackle. I would hope that you would be improved at left tackle over a guy who's been a guard in his career. If not, there's some issues. And I think Kingsley should be better than Caliendo at left guard.
I say yes. The one thing I push back on from the Super Bowl exclusively, Joe Tooney played a pretty good left tackle until the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like Joe Tooney was bad. We might be talking glowing reviews about Joe Tooney at left tackle, saying, wow, he's impressive.
Well, it might be that Joe Tooney played a really good left tackle until he went up against a team that fully game planned for him, saw the book on him, and had a
100%
attack him.
100%. I just feel there's a little bit of, I don't say revisionist history, but I do want to make sure Joe Tooney gets the credit he deserves for how good he was against the Bills, the Texans, the last couple games, because I was very impressed with his change to left tackle.
Okay, let me present it this way. Are we viewing Joe Tooney through the prism of that's a guy who's a left guard, and look how well he played at left tackle, as opposed to the exact same play, exact same things that happened in the Super Bowl, only changed his name to Kingsley Suamati at left tackle, and now they're bringing in Josh Simmons? Are we saying, yeah, but we got to give credit to what Kingsley did in those last few weeks or whatever, and what he did in some of these other games? He held his own, and yeah, I know they went and got Josh Simmons, but I know the Super Bowl was bad, because I feel like we're couching it from the Joe Tooney's graded on a curve because he was a left guard that slid out there left tackle, instead of grading it in a vacuum, left tackle versus left tackle. Joe Tooney strictly, specifically as a left tackle, not a left tackle from guard, compared to Josh Simmons that's just a left tackle.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, against the Bills, he was an 89.3 pass block grade.
Yeah, I thought he was fine.
I think that's his best game was the Bills game, but I mean, that's me cherry picking.
I would hope that they have a real upgrade at left guard, that if they get as good or better at left tackle than what they got from Tooney, then certainly they should be a better offensive line, especially if Jawan Taylor's healthy.
I'll agree. I'm saying better. I just wanted to have some sort of conversation there instead of just, obviously better. Yeah.
I think the upside is much, much better than last year because of what's being said about Josh Simmons, because Kingsley Suamati could play much better at the left guard position, and then you still got Creed on the inside, Trey Smith, and we'll see with Jawan Taylor. If he can be a serviceable right tackle, and you've got the upside we're all talking about on the left side, you're going to have a much better offensive line. And what's better about this, which for a while I was concerned of, Joe Tooney when he was traded. Well, if Josh Simmons doesn't work out at left tackle, who are you going to turn to? Wanya Morris, Kingsley Suamati? It's nice to know they have someone who did fill in at left tackle for the Niners when Trent Williams was out for a guy like Jalen Moore. Now, is Jalen Moore going to be good? I don't know, because also when Taylor came over from Jacksonville was, man, this guy could be a tremendous upgrade where, right tackle to left tackle, even though you spent a lot of money on him, you felt good about him. So I don't know if Jalen Moore is going to be the answer as that swing tackle, but to know that he could be flexible, I like where they're at depth-wise. I also love where they are at upside-wise, because with what's being said about Josh Simmons, we saw the tape on Suamati against Denver in Week 17. You're talking about an offensive line that can stay intact for the next handful of years, not just a stopgap guy at left tackle and a stopgap guy at left guard.
And if Jalen Moore is battling for the left guard position, then it's not just handed to Kingsley Suamati. Then he would have had to go and earn it against a guy who's got more playing time and more experience and is older in the NFL than he is. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll look at the defensive side next. let's get to the defensive side. And Sterling, we start with you on this one. The defensive line, Super Bowl defensive line versus what we see on paper right now, assessing the different units for the Chiefs. We'll do this again come first game of the season after watching the rest of training camp and the preseason games. Right now through a couple of weeks of training camp, where are they at compared to the Super Bowl team?
Yeah, so the big change is basically Omar Norman-Lott and Jerry Tillery instead of Tershawn Wharton. I'll say as of now, as of now, I'll say slightly worse. I'm a huge Omar Norman-Lott guy. You know this. I love the draft pick. But that'd be unfair since Tershawn Wharton had such a nice year last year to expect the same production. So I'll go slightly worse.
Okay.
I'm going to go about the same. You get a healthier Charles Omenihu, which you didn't have to begin the season. So the edge rusher position, I feel really good about. On the interior, though, as Sterling said, too much uncertainty there. We can't take away what Turk Ward did last year, but I believe that might even out where last year, uncertainty at the edge position in certain spots. This year, uncertainty on the inside. So I'll say it's about the same.
Yeah, I went with roughly the same as well, with losing Turk and losing Noddy, but adding Norman-Lott, Tillery, and Gelati to the group, that the unknown of all three of those, but the potential that's there of being better than a year ago versus the known of Turk. Really, Noddy losing him, okay, that's fine. Pennell can step into that role, just elevate and do what Noddy did. But losing Turk, somebody needs to replace that. So I'm going to say roughly the same based on Omar Norman-Lott and Tillery and Gelati, somebody taking up that production. Linebacking room, Jack?
I'm going to go about the same. You're going to have the same guys back there, so maybe you just say Leo Chanel, another year under his belt. You pair that alongside Bolden. You pair that alongside Tranquil. I feel it'll be about the same group again.
I went with better because I'm replacing Bozeman or Cam Jones, whichever one of those guys, with Jeffrey Bassa. So if I'm looking at the four linebackers, I went that route. I went better.
I don't think Bassa plays really outside of special teams, so when you get special teams, I'd say better, but outside for actual linebackers, also the exact same. Also 1 year older for Drew Tranquil.
All right, we're going to go quick here. We'll expand on this tomorrow even more, but cornerback, we start with me. So cornerback, I will say better based on Christian Fulton's health, but I'm going to say better.
Love Christian Fulton. I'm going better.
Much better, much more depth.
All right. And safety position, we start with you, Sterling?
Worse because no Justin Reed.
Exact same answer as Sterling.
Same for me, too. Worse because no Justin Reed. We'll see who can step up and fill that role. So we all agree on...
Do like Mike Edwards back, by the way. Underrated signing. I think Mike Edwards back is a nice little depth piece.
The Chiefs got worse at two positions for Sterling. They got worse at two positions for Jack, and then they got worse at one position for me. All right, Thursday edition of the Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Hour number 4. Time for some sports or leisure. 913-381-0810 is the phone number. First in, first on. Playing for $25 to Johnny's Tavern. 913-381-0810. Premier Sports Bar in Kansas City. 10 locations, including Lawrence and Topeka. It is Johnny's Tavern, and we give away $25 to the winners of sports or leisure. Appreciate Bethany last week filling in for Sterling, doing a great job.
Probably a better job, quite frankly.
I didn't want to say it, but as long as you said it, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate you doing that. But also, she had to drive back from St. Joe, and she arrived here at 1:02.
Wow.
Like right now, she was walking in, like, all right, I made it back, St. Joe. They went a little bit longer last Thursday at the press conferences, and so it's like, well, now it's kind of pushing it for Bethany to be back, and she made it back.
That wasn't very much leisure then.
Well, you don't make
Sports and Rush.
You didn't make it in that much earlier than her. I mean, you made it in at like 10:02.
What do you mean?
So just a few hours earlier than she did last week.
What do you mean? I was gone last week.
I meant like today.
I'm always here early. What do you mean?
It's 10:02. You're here earlier than 1 o'clock.
I'm in this seat before you are every day, guaranteed.
Not every day.
Well, yeah, the days I miss.
Or today.
I was in here.
I was sitting down in this seat before you were in that seat.
No, I had.
You said you were in the seat before.
Okay, I was raising the blinds for the fellas. Let the sun shine in.
What you said was, I'm in the seat.
Technicality. It's a technicality.
913-381-0810 is the phone number to play some sports or leisure. How you play, give us a call. You get a sports question, you get a leisure question, you get them both right, you win. Either of them wrong, you lose. The question is out there available for someone to call in and request. If they know the answer to it, if they have an idea what it is, whatever it might be, you get them both right. We give out the question or the answer to the question when it has been answered correctly, or we have simply run out of time to play. Let's go through the categories today. Category with it being Trade Deadline Day. We've got Royals trades, and of course, this time of year always brings around the Chiefs training camp darlings. So those are the categories: Royals trades and Chiefs training camp darlings. What about on the leisure side?
We have restocked riddles. We are bringing in a new category today. That is history.
Okay.
History. Mostly U.S., few world history questions in there as well. So history riddles, and we'll do a couple potpourri questions. We have only a couple potpourri ones left, but I added history because I thought it'd be kind of fun.
You know what I should have done? I should have printed off the category from last week that Bethany had of Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, I could have done that.
Todd came up with a. In fact, if E5 or Emmy or whoever else, since you guys are part-time.
Do we want an Ozzy Osbourne category? I can do one off the top of my head right now.
Well, Todd came up with like 10 of them, and only like one person asked for an Ozzy question. So we've got.
I can do some Ozzy ones.
Well, I mean, if you want to, we also have the down there. We can have Emmy run down and just the Word document, just print off. Do you know how to print? Do you kids know how to print these days? You guys aware of how to print these days?
What is Sterling's top 2 Black Sabbath songs?
I don't know, man.
Snowblind and what's it? Fairies Wear Boots?
Fairies Wear Boots is the what I'm going to go with.
Jack the Stripper?
Yeah, sure. It would be page number 3 on the Word document there that's probably up on my computer right now.
Supernaut?
That you can go and just print off. It's the Ozzy category, so if it happens to be...
Lebo's got you. Lebo just came down the hall and said, I'll take care of it.
I mean, I had him.
Okay, there we go. Riddles, history, no potpourri, Ozzy.
But this is last week, Sterling. You're going to like this. So we were doing the copy points and the sponsors for the Chiefs training camp. Thank you, Todd.
I think 1 and 2 got you.
Yeah. So maybe there were 2. Yeah. And last week I gave my hard copy, because Drake was going to read them as well. So I gave my hard copy to Emmy to make a copy, and I saw him immediately go into the other room to ask how to make a copy. And I love it. It was great. It was great. All right, 913-381-0810. What are the categories again on the leisure side since we've...
Riddles, history, and Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, okay. Riddles, history, Ozzy Osbourne. Thank you, Todd, for taking care of that last week. And I didn't want it to go to waste. He spent all that time coming up with that category for Bethany, and I didn't want it to go to waste. So there you go. Bethany did a category called Who Am I? That was very popular. Who am I? She just gave different hints about who they were, and everybody was like, Bethany.
I like that one. I knew that was going to be on there. When Ozzy left Black Sabbath, what singer was the first in line to replace him?
You already gave away a question?
That's what it was yesterday. Dio. I was going to have a Dio question on there as well, and you got it.
Very good. All right, I'm ready to go. Sterling, you ready to play?
I am ready to play.
Jack?
I'm ready to go.
All right, let's do it. 913-381-0810. We have the phone lines. First up is Avery leading us off on this Thursday edition, Sports or Leisure, presented by Johnny's Tavern. Avery, what side would you like to start with?
The Royals Trades.
Royals Trades for you. Okay. Who was traded with Zach Greinke to the Brewers?
University of Bedford.
What's his middle name?
Fat and short.
Yep. How about the what are the odds of that? Uniesky, Bettenshort, Bettencourt. That's right. Over to Leisure with Sterling.
Riddles, history, and Ozzy.
I'll do history.
History. You'll know
It's
this
a long time.
Yeah. What was the name of the battle in the Pacific fought between the U.S. Navy and the Imperial? Yep, it is Midway. I didn't have a whole bunch of really hard ones, and I knew that Avery needed a hard one just for Avery.
Yep, well, you are a winner, Avery. So nice job. We'll put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, Jerk.
Hello?
Yeah, we say congratulations. You just kicked our ass, Avery. How does it feel? Big man kicking our ass?
He kicked the question's ass. He didn't kick my ass. I'm perfectly fine. That question got its ass whipped.
I think Avery probably kicked my ass. Congratulations, Avery.
Yeah, jerk.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off midway through that question.
Ayo. Even has jokes?
Yeah, right.
Taking my job.
He wins every time. Avery, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations, sir.
Okay.
All right. 913-381-0810. I think next time.
We need an Avery category.
No. I think next time just let it breathe a little bit. Not you, him. Maybe phone a friend to let your dad know that you're going to be a millionaire.
Oh, that'd be great.
Maybe let it breathe a little bit. He could have immediately, quickly answered the question in the multiple choice there in that game. Yes, son, is close to $1 million. Who wants to be a millionaire? He could have just answered it quickly and been done. All right, 913-381-0810. We go to the phone lines and we talk with Gary. Gary, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
How about sports?
All right, we got Royals trades and we have Chiefs training camp darlings.
How about Royals Trades?
Royals trades for you. Okay. This player, who's the father part of a Major League Baseball father-son duo, was traded by the Royals to the Blue Jays as a minor leaguer. He would go on to lead the league in home runs twice and RBIs 3 times.
It's a good one. I like it.
All right, I appreciate it.
Oh, boy.
Father-son duo.
It's funny because his last name, he wasn't really, great known for that.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Did you get it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got it.
Johnny Baking. Not known as a baker at all. Father-son. Pretty well-known father-son duo.
Yeah, very well known.
They could mash. And this guy traded to the Blue Jays as a minor leaguer.
And their last name is, again, kind of a high, not hyperbole, but it's kind of funny because their last name
is not what they were known
for.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to get it.
So trade in the 80s, I'll tell you that. I'll give you that.
But the son played for a few teams.
Yeah. You
wanted to tell I'm sorry.
My question.
Sorry.
Right?
I'll let somebody else give it a shot.
Gary, you sure you don't want to throw the dart? Is there any father-son duo out there?
Well, I'm thinking, King Griffey and Griffey, but I know that's not it.
Well, you can take it off the board for somebody else, and it could be a community event.
Okay. I'll let somebody else give it a shot.
All right. So Griffey Senior is incorrect. So if somebody was going to guess that, they would be wrong. Gary, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate you, brother. 913-381-0810. So if somebody thought Griffey Senior, Gary took care of that one for you. It is not the Griffeys. That question's out there. We head to Tim next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Tim, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
that last question that Gary had attempted, was that the Royals trade category or the overall league?
No, that's the Royals trade category. The Royals traded this guy as a minor leaguer to the Blue Jays. He would go on to lead the league in home runs twice and RBIs 3 times, and he is the father part of a Major League Baseball father-son duo.
Oh, the fielders.
Well, which one was traded by the Royals as a minor leaguer to the Blue Jays back in the 80s?
Oh, right. Yeah, Prince? Yeah.
No, back in the 80s. Was the father part of the father-son duo. It's
He knew Fielder, I feel like,
It's Cecil Fielder. Cecil Fielder traded by the Royals as a minor leaguer to the Blue Jays back in the 80s.
And he wrote the Ten Commandments.
He did, actually. That's a lot of people don't realize that. It's first line in his Wikipedia page. Go ahead, Sterling.
Timbo Slice. We have riddles, history, and Aussie questions.
All right, since last week I got falsely sucked into the dog category and failed miserably, I'm going Aussie.
All right, we'll go.
Gary, were you the pugilist?
Did you throw Ronnie James Dio under the bus on me, darn it?
Not me. I love Ronnie James Dio. I love having him.
Me too. But you didn't know the way that was the one I thought I'd get.
No, sorry. We'll give you another easy one. Man, I do love Dio, though. And the band Rainbow. Rainbow, great band back in the day. What wild thing did Ozzy do in Des Moines that had his detractors foaming at the mouth?
Oh, my goodness, I know what he did.
Oh, it involved an aviary creature.
It sure does.
He bit the head off a bird. Or he attempted to.
What?
A what?
A what now?
Right.
Timbo, what was the animal?
Bit the head off of a...
Oh, it's got to be a specifier alien creature species.
Well, I think I don't know. It's avian, technically. I think it's actually more of a... Is it a mammal, technically? What is it?
Oh, wasn't that? You're right. What was it? I'm getting senile, right? Oh, my...
Yeah, it's technically a flying mammal.
It's a flying mammal. Yep, absolutely.
A bat?
It is a bat.
There you go.
He bit the head of a bat. And, there's been stories about it where he was like really drunk and he thought it was a fake bat, and then it turned out it was a real bat. And he apparently needed rabies shots.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Was he okay, though? Did he have rabies?
The bat was not. The bat was not okay.
Well, that's too bad.
The bat
didn't get rabies shots for Ozzy?
The bat,
you need some rabies shots. Ozzy bit you.
Yeah.
Ozzy bit you. He may have rabies. We're not sure. All right, Tim, we'll put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Not to call Tim out, but he brought it up last week. It was kind of a rough one. So
for dogs, rough.
Yeah, it was the dog was something about a wrinkly face, a smaller dog or whatever. And he said
English pug.
But he said, is this something that has to do with sort of an old sport like pugilists? And we're like, Puget pug? Okay. He goes, boxer. No, Tim's not a boxer.
That's great.
We're like, the first 3 letters of the word that you said is what the dog is.
Boxing. That's great.
All right, we go to the phone lines and we bring in 913-388-1010 on the phone line right now with Tim winning. We go to Pete next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Pete, Sports or Leisure, what side would you like to start with?
Hey, fellas, well, I do have a grumble at home. I actually do have pugs, so of course I can't get the easy question. Let's go with Royals trade.
All right, Royals trades for you. I really want to do this one, but let's go with a different route. The 2 biggest trades for Dayton Moore to finish off the Royals and bring back a couple of championship series MVPs and a sideboard closer. There was one player involved in both trades.
Ooh.
Who was the one player involved in both trades? For the Royals.
Don't throw it a dart, man. James Shield?
James Shields. It's incorrect. I'll let you
Yeah,
guess.
the question is a little.
What Mick has always said is that we don't give enough chances for people to win. Mick's always upset that not enough people win on this one. So for Mick Schaefer, I'll give you another chance. So there was one player involved in both trades. Involved in the trade. One player involved in the Brewers trade, and one player the same player involved in the Tampa Bay Rays trade.
Okay, I get what you're asking now. I was a little confused at first. I think I was with.
You were with Pete?
With Pete, with the misunderstanding.
You're saying Pete, and I repeat?
Yeah, Pete, we heard about.
Sterling.
We had a vote.
Sterling, what if Pete fell off? Who's left, Sterling?
Nobody.
No, Pete and repeat.
I'm going to throw another dart at you, man. Look at Locaine.
Locaine is incorrect. Pete, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate you, brother. 913-3-810-810. Locaine incorrect. James Shields and Wade Davis also incorrect.
Yeah.
But one player involved in both trades, oddly enough. Very big trades for the Royals. One player involved in both. T-Box next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. T-Box, Sports or Leisure. What side do you want to start with?
Give me Ozzy.
All right, T-Box. This one was sad.
What did he bite the leg off of?
How did the first guitarist of his solo career, Randy Rhoads, tragically pass away?
Plane crash.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was sad.
They were trying to do a joke or
like Buzz the Tower, and it. Yeah, it was.
That sucks, man.
Yeah.
Yep, that's too bad. All right, on to the sports side box. We got Royals trades. We got Chiefs training camp stars / darlings.
Ask me that Wade Davis question again. I didn't quite catch it.
Okay, so it's not a Wade Davis question. Wade Davis certainly involved in the trade, but the two biggest trades for Dayton Moore to finish off the Royals and bring back those championship series MVPs and a cyborg closer. So two different big trades for Dayton Moore. There was one player involved in both trades. Both trades, one player either came to the Royals or left the Royals in both trades.
Can I guess the position to maybe near it?
Sure, if you want to.
Pitcher.
It was a pitcher.
It was a pitcher. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I'm going to guess Jake Odorizzi.
It was Jake Odorizzi. Nice job. Odorizzi came over in the Brewers trade for Lorenzo Cain and Escobar. For Greinke, he came over in that trade, and then they packaged him with Will Smith to the Tampa Bay Rays. So Odorizzi was involved in both of those. That is a winner, right?
That is a winner.
T-Box, well done. We'll put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations.
Love your show.
Thank you, sir. Right back at you.
We love. You know what? We love you.
I do. Yeah, I do. T-Box. 913-3-810-810. Jake Odorizzi involved in both deals. So Odorizzi's a pretty big player in Royals history.
Yeah.
That never actually really played for the Royals.
Yeah. I was also the other thought process. I go, did Yuniesky Betancourt, was he somehow involved in the Rays trade? Because I think thought he played for the Rays at one point too.
Yeah, but no, he's not involved in the Rays trade at all. All right, 913-3-810-810. Let's go to Ryan next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Ryan, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
We'll do sports.
All right, we got Royals trades and we have Chiefs training camp darlings, stars.
Yes, Royals trades.
Royals trades for you. By the way, Odorizzi had 2 games for the Royals. He started 2 games, went 7 innings, 4 strikeouts, 4 walks. 0-1 in his career with the Royals. But he pitched for 5 years for the Rays. So, I mean, it's not like they got nothing out of that trade. Because obviously they get Will Myers, too. Anyway, Royals trades. Let's go with this one. The Royals traded 2 different All-Stars in 2001. They both brought back shortstops. Who were the shortstops the Royals got back in the 2001 trades?
Oh. I hate the answers to this question.
Hey, why do you hate the answers? They did nothing to you, besides not play as well as you would hope. I mean, one was freaking Rookie of the Year.
Well,
I mean, come on now.
That's
So the guy we got back was Rookie of the Year?
one of them.
Yeah, one of the shortstops the Royals got back was Rookie of the
Baroa?
Angel Bro was one of them. There was another trade in 2001 that the Royals moved an all-star, and they got back a shortstop.
I need to get both of them, or I just had to get one?
Both.
That was the easier one. This one was actually the funny one that I feel like his name gets brought up all the time.
It does.
Because of this particular trade.
By the way, Baroa beat out Hideki Matsui, Rocco Baldelli, Jody Garrett, and Mark Teixeira for Rookie of the Year.
A couple really solid players in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Baldelli had a nice career. Teixeira, obviously, great career. Matsui was like 28 when he got here.
NL Rookie of the Year that year was Dontrell Willis.
Yeah. Watching that.
He beat out Scott Podsednik, finishing
Former Royals legend.
Yeah, finishing 5th was Miguel Cabrera. For
Well, yeah. So, all right. So we traded in 2001. We traded an All-Star. We got back. And there are 2 separate trades for the.
Yep, there were 2
shortstops?
separate trades for these shortstops. Yep.
The guy's last name is the same as a current Royal.
Oh boy.
Right, Jason? He's the same last name as a current Royal?
Am I missing something here? Oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
I was thinking the guy they traded, my bad.
No. The guy they got back, who is the guy you're trying to figure out who he is.
Yeah, for sure.
His last name is the same as a current Royal.
Yeah, for sure.
But he wasn't a. He played for the Royals too, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did. Not a fan favorite.
If I can recall correctly, refused to go into the game a few times toward the end of his tenure.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to go in as a replacement pitcher or anything.
Believe you're correct there, Jack.
Gosh, I don't know.
They got him from Colorado.
Yep.
He was going to be awesome.
I feel like the guy I'm thinking about it. I don't know if it's the right answer. Is Perez?
Yes.
Neftali Perez or something like that?
Yeah.
Nefi Perez?
Nefi Perez, yeah.
Nefi Perez is correct.
He went with the old Rangers pitcher for a second there, but I was like, that's close enough.
Neftali Feliz.
Yeah.
Neftali
Sorry, okay, thank you.
Yes, Nefi Perez. Is that the sports side?
That's the sports
Okay,
side.
just leisure left with Sterling.
Ozzy, riddles, or history?
Riddles.
Let's go. Love riddles. All right.
Why with the Rockies, Nefi Perez batted .290, but with the Royals it was only .238? I don't get it. What's the difference there?
First field.
It's weird. I don't know why. He was so good at hitting with the Rockies. Go ahead, Sterling.
I am an odd number.
Yeah, you are.
Take away a letter, and I become even. What number am I?
Oh.
Did you get it, Jason?
I got it.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
I am an odd number. Take away a letter, and I become even. What number am I?
What? Okay, your number, take away a letter. 7.
7.
Well done.
Nice.
Put you on hold and get your information, sir. Ryan, appreciate it, man. Thank you for playing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. 913-3-810-810. We take a timeout. We come back, continue rolling. You're on hold. First in, first on. Get to you. Playing some more sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern on the other side of the break. More next. Fun story when we're talking about trades and trade deadline and all that going on today. 5 o'clock Central Time is the trade deadline. So about 4.5 hours from now, we will, or 3.5, I should say, if I do quick math. 3.5 hours from now, it will be the trade deadline. 3 hours, 29 minutes, and 22, 21, 20, 19. They've got the ticker on ESPN, so I can look at that one. But cool story when all these different players are changing teams. So the Arizona Diamondbacks were in Detroit last night. They are facing off against the A's tomorrow. So the Diamondbacks are in the middle of their road trip. Detroit, game was over yesterday. They play the A's tomorrow. We're not flying back to Arizona in the middle of a road trip. You're just going to the next city. The Mariners, on Wednesday, wrapped up a road trip with their final stop being against the A's. So Eugenio Suarez plays in Detroit for the Diamondbacks, flies with the team charter, lands in Sacramento, gets off the team charter, gets on the Mariners team charter that hadn't left Sacramento just yet. They pick up, and Eugenio Suarez goes with them to Seattle. He's in the lineup tonight for the Mariners. So that is how crazy is that? Like we saw, was it Sir Anthony Dominguez that switched clubhouses in the middle of a doubleheader? And we've seen that before where a player played in both games of a doubleheader that just switched clubhouses there. And Sir Anthony Dominguez did that. But this is one to where you just happen to be going from one team to the other, and you're landing in the same city they are leaving, and they haven't yet left just yet. When you land, you can just go from one plane to the next. And so you go from Detroit. He was just a connecting flight.
Yes.
With no layover. Connecting flight. We're just stopping and going back. And we're stopping, picking up, and heading back off. So we're leaving Detroit, landing in Sacramento. We're going to pick up a couple passengers. Then we're going to head to Seattle. And that's all he did.
I simply just would have gotten like a Southwest flight and just gone straight. I mean, like, this would be a lot easier. From Arizona to Seattle.
No, but they didn't go to Arizona. They went to Sacramento.
I'd go. I guess you're kind of on the
So
way.
you're there. You're there.
Yeah,
They haven't left yet.
yeah, I guess you're right. It's
They haven't
easier.
left yet. You're just
You're on
there.
the way.
You're there in the same airport. The Diamondbacks land, and the Mariners team plane is still there. Might as well. You're just going from plane to plane. That's all. You've already got your stuff packed for a road trip. All they got to do is take your equipment and stuff off the charter and put it on the Mariners. That's it.
Easy.
It's crazy how that sort of connection happened. Quite literally, that connection in Sacramento to Seattle. No direct flights to Seattle out of Detroit, apparently.
No, none.
Let's head back to the phone line, 913-381-810, playing some sports or leisure. John next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. John, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's do a Royals trade question. The older the better, Danny. The older the better.
Okay, so we only have 2 Royals trade questions left.
Okay.
And both of them are relatively newer, but I'll give you the oldest of the 2. You ready?
All right.
All right. Back in 2015, can you tell me, John, 2 of the 3 players traded for Johnny Cueto? 3 players went to Cincinnati, playing for the Reds. 2 of them is all I need you to name.
Okay, the 2 we gave up for Johnny Cueto.
Gave up 3.
Oh, yeah, okay. Brandon
Number 2.
Finnegan was 1.
That's
Brandon
right.
Finnegan
There's 1.
and John Lamb.
There's 2.
Nice.
Who's the 3rd?
Oh, I have no idea.
It's the one that people forget.
Yeah, I don't remember the 3rd.
Cody Reed. That's
Cody
why
Reed.
I said 2 of 3.
Is he the guy still pitching right now?
I don't know if any of them are still pitching. I can't imagine any of them are still pitching. I don't think anybody involved in that entire trade.
Yeah, I don't think so. Actually, I think you're.
Yeah. So.
You say Cody Reed?
Cody Reed. R-E-E-D. Cody. Traditional spelling of Cody.
He has not pitched since 21, so no, different guy I was thinking of.
Yeah. So Brandon Finnegan, John Lamb, and Cody Reed.
Wow.
Johnny Cueto.
Good trade.
Yep. Over to Sterling with leisure.
Riddles, history, or Ozzy?
Let's do history.
All right, history. What was the code name for the German invasion of the Soviet Union during World War II?
Oh.
You said older the better, so I was trying to go old with you.
Oh, goodness. It was, oh, gosh.
Very famous.
Barbarossa.
There we go. Operation Barbarossa.
Good job. Well done, man. We'll put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Thank
you. That. 913-381-0810. Almost hung up on him, but did end up pressing the right one. 913-381-0810 is the phone number to be a part of the show to play a little sports or leisure. We head back to the phone lines and we bring in Matthew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB Sports or Leisure. $25 to Johnny's Tavern. We're giving away. Matthew, what side do you want to start with? Sports side or leisure side?
Let's do sports and Chiefs training camp.
All right, Chiefs training camp stars on the sports side. All right, let's go with this one. He's been a camp darling for a couple of years. No longer one, but perpetually talked about. Maybe because he's been a guy filled with potential for the past 5 years, but hasn't done anywhere near what he did early in college. Unlike a lot of darlings, this guy made the team. He's more on the outside looking in. Last year did produce a little bit, but not with the team anymore. Oh, how quickly things change. People are not talking about this Tiger anymore.
Oh, yeah, we just finally cut him, right?
Correct.
Yeah, he was running Hills, and now he's running Hills for a different team.
Bills.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, running Hills for the Bills? How about that? No longer talking about that, Tiger.
Godspeed doesn't kill.
Oh, yeah, it's Justin Ross.
Yep, Justin Ross. A perpetual camp darling, year after year after year. Didn't work out for him. All right, at least in Kansas City. Leisure with Sterling.
Ozzy, riddles history.
Riddle me.
I will riddle you. I will riddle you. Every night, I'm told what to do. And every morning, I do what I'm told. But I still don't escape your scold. What am I?
My initial thought is an alarm clock.
I think your initial thought is pretty darn good.
That was mine. That's exactly what I thought, too. I'm like, but is it an alarm?
Yeah, you're correct. It's an alarm clock. Every night I'm told what to do, and every morning I do what I'm told, but I still don't escape your scold.
Yep, hate that alarm clock. Matthew, well done to put you on hold. Congratulations, sir.
Thanks, Dad.
Look at that. Just that easy, huh? Just that easy.
See, riddles aren't bad.
No.
People always get scared by the riddles.
I like them. I like the riddles. You know, they're not too hard, they're not too easy. Makes you think a little bit, but not think for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not going to make you do a math equation on here.
Yeah, I mean, well, it depends on the math equation. You never know. Let's go to Jared next up on Sports Radio 810. Jared, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Sports. Do you have one Royals trade question left?
I actually have one Royals trade question left. All right, here we go. The Royals made an in-season trade in 2002 that brought back a future All-Star. It just happened to be for a different team this year after appearing in only 14 games for the Royals and just 25 at-bats.
Oh, man.
2000, did I say 2002? I apologize. 2022. I apologize.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm looking at 2022 right here. So thank you, Jack. 2022. I apologize.
Okay, that's changed. I was like, Raul Banez somehow.
It changes everything. It absolutely does. That's a 20-year difference changes a lot for who it was.
One more time. Read it through.
Let's start it again. The Royals made an in-season trade in 2022 that brought back a future All-Star. Just happened to be an All-Star for a different team.
Yep.
An All-Star this year. But not for the Royals because when they traded for him, he appeared in only 14 games and just 25 at-bats before they placed him on waivers.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I think I know this.
And now...
Is it Rooker?
Brent Rooker is correct. Anybody... Jack, you can't answer this. Sterling, don't look it up.
I'm looking at Raul Banez.
Who did they trade for Brent Rooker? Who did they trade to get Brent Rooker back?
I'm sure it was just a pitcher.
Nope, it was not. Wasn't a pitcher. It was a position player. Jack guy had a grand slam in his career, right? At one time. In Oakland, a big grand slam in a big game.
Cam Gallagher?
Cam Gallagher for Brent Rooker. That is a steal. The Royals fleeced them to get Brent Rooker to release him, and then the A's have. Cam Gallagher. That would be one of the crazy trades of all time, right? Dude, you gave up Cam Gallagher for Brent Rooker? Good night. What a great trade.
Think about the scout that found him. He's like, yes, I told you he was going to be that.
Yes. And then the same couple days, they gave up Emmanuel Rivera for Luke Weaver.
And then Luke Weaver turned in.
And Luke Weaver was terrible with the Royals.
And he was the same scout.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, I got your Rooker and Weaver for Gallagher and Rivera, and you blew it. You blew it over leisure with Sterling.
I also got you J.D. Martinez. Wow.
I mean, that too.
All right, we have Ozzy, Riddles and History.
Did you know Gallagher didn't even play a game for the Padres? So that trade looks even worse for that.
Wow, I forgot about that. Yeah, and could have had Brent Rooker, an all-star outfielder, hitting 30 home runs a year for Cam Gallagher. Oh well.
I'll do riddles.
Riddles. What?
Throw some math at me if you want.
Okay. Well, there's a number in here. What word contains 26 letters but only has 3 syllables?
Is it the word alphabet?
It is the word alphabet. Yeah.
Nice job. Well, let's see the riddles. People are knocking them out.
Well, you said numbers, and so that one had a number in it. I gave the one with a number.
Okay, very good. Jared, we'll put you on hold to get your information. Congratulations, sir. Nice job.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Look at that. Brent Rooker for Cam Gallagher.
I think he's played for 26 teams, so basically the same question.
By the way, Brent Rooker, when they acquired him, had played 200 games in AAA when the Royals acquired him.
Yeah.
He OPS'd at 977. In his 200 games, he had 62 home runs and 51 doubles in his 208 games. He got on base at 390. He had 119 walks in 208 games when they acquired him. The Royals bring him in. Doesn't do much in the 14 games in the big leagues, but played 20 games at AAA for the Royals, where he batted 340. Got on base at 424 and slugged 775 for a 1.2 ERA or a 1.2 OPS. In his 20 games, he had 9 home runs, 8 doubles, and 9 walks.
Well, you gotta re-sign Lucas. You gotta keep Lucas Dudas.
And they waived him. Sorry, not enough of a track record for this guy because the Royals in 22 were just beating the doors off of people, just hitting home runs all over the place. How could you possibly have Brent Rooker in your lineup?
I have a weird memory of Brent Rooker's time in Kansas City. The Royals were in Minnesota at Target Field. He was, 1 for whatever. I think it was literally 1 for 25. It felt like he wasn't hitting at all, but he was in left field for this game. And there was some ball down the left field line that he kind of dogged to a little bit. He's also not a fast guy, but it looked like he was dogging, and whoever the Twins player was on first took an extra base on him to third. And I remember Twitter being like, who is this bum that's hitting sub 100 and not playing defense the way we expect him to play defense? There was never a good memory of Brent Rooker in Kansas City.
Can you imagine if his name was MJ Melendez, how many opportunities he would have got?
Yeah.
He OPS'd in the 14 games with the Royals that year in 2022. He had all of 29 plate appearances, 25 at-bats. He went 4 of 25 with a double. He had
4 of 25? That's as many hits as MJ Melendez has this year.
3 walks.
No, does he have 5 now?
3 walks, 7 strikeouts. He batted 160, and he OPS'd at 476 in 14 games. But again, his AAA track record was as a AAA player in 200 games, he had 62 home runs and 51 doubles. And even with the Royals in AAA. So even if you said, well, he's kind of a quad-A player. Okay. You got home runs and quad-A players just beating down the door trying to get to the big leagues. You're just, having to just cut. We're just giving people away because we've got so many bats in this organization. Ugh. Anyway, it's hindsight. It's revisionist. But it's also some evidence was there that this was at least possible for him since he was doing that at the highest minor league level. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. One more segment to go here. Sports Radio 810 WHB. happens. Yankees and Rangers were trying to acquire David Bednar from the Pirates, their closer. Both of them in need of back into the bullpen help. I think Rangers a little more in need of back into the bullpen help. The Yankees at least have somebody with track record in Devin Williams. The Yankees have finalized a deal to acquire David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So the Rangers are still looking for back into bullpen help for their team. Royals chasing the Rangers and the Yankees, but I think ultimately the Royals chasing the Rangers and Red Sox for the wild card, because I think the Seattle Mariners are going to take care of business, and the Yankees are still, up in the first wild card spot. So I think it's the Red Sox and Rangers really that the Royals are going to be chasing. All right, a couple of more contestants here for sports or leisure before we wrap it up. We got time for 2 more. Charles, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Charles, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with, sir?
Let's do some leisure.
All right, we have riddles, we have history, and we have Ozzy.
Let's do riddle.
All right, riddles. What has one eye but can't see?
One eye but can't see.
What has an eye but can't see?
A needle.
A needle.
Nice job.
Don't you dare think a camel will fit. Camel will not fit. Well, maybe it will, though.
What about the word blind?
Could.
Blind has one eye and can't see.
Yeah, that would actually work.
The word blind.
Yeah.
There you go.
We also would have counted that, but it was wrong. But we would have counted it.
Right, exactly. All right, on to the sports side, sir. We have Chief Training Camp stars, and I guess I could find one more Royals trade question if that's what you want.
Yeah, let's do Royal trade.
All right, so the Royals, 8 years apart, traded the same player, a Cy Young winner, and a 5-time All-Star. The Royals moved this guy twice. He did win a Cy Young with the Royals. Well, Royals/team.
Yeah.
But the Royals traded him twice in an 8-year span. A very popular pitcher in Royals history. Yet only played 3 years with the Royals.
Yep. Good question.
Thank you.
Only played 3 years.
Only played 3 years, but a very popular player still.
It's not Greinke, because I know your first you see Cy Young, you think Greinke. It's not him, but it's someone who was popular about, 15 years before? 10 years before?
And popular because of a Kansas City kid.
Yeah.
Kansas City kid, drafted by the Royals, traded, got back eventually, then traded again.
Man, I'm drawing a
Very
leg.
popular. He had a whole group of fans in the outfield that called themselves very popular Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah. Do you like your ice cream in a cup?
Depends on if I get it in a bowl or not.
Okay.
Today I got a Blizzard from Dairy Queen.
What year was this again?
It was 8 years apart. Let's just go 80s, 90s.
80s, 90s?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing off my head, is Mark Udall.
It wasn't Gooby.
Wasn't him?
It wasn't Gooby. One more guess.
Oh, man.
Very popular Saturday Night Live skit. And they made a movie out of it, too.
They did actually. Chili Peppers, I think, had a song in it.
Did they really?
Yeah, I think so.
That. Aykroyd is the main character.
I like the waffle version of this, personally. Are you a sugar or?
It depends. Sometimes I'll do the waffle version of that, pieces. And
that's always good.
Yep. So there you go. Yeah, that's good. All right, throw it out. What do you say, Charles?
I have no idea.
It was not Goobs off. Charles, thank you for playing, man. 913-388-10. Gotta go quick. Let's go to Shane, who wraps things up here on Sports or Leisure, presented by Johnny's Tavern. Shane, what side do you want to start with?
Let's start with sports. I'll take that question.
All right, who was it?
That was David Cone.
David Cone, Rockhurst High School in the house. David Cone traded to the Mets and the Blue Jays by the Kansas City Royals.
Coneheads.
Yes, the Coneheads. That's right. Leisure with Sterling.
That Aussie category is kind of lonely. Let's do that.
All right, it is kind of lonely. It's kind of fun. What's Ozzy Osbourne's real first name?
Oh, I just heard him say this yesterday. Oh, I should have, right? Obviously. And I was shocked to hear that. I can think about it real quick.
So like Ryan or something.
Close. It is a four-letter name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it didn't even fit him for some reason. I think about this. Real sentimental. He's got the same middle name as me. That's right. His middle name Michael.
Yes. I think so.
Oh, my God.
But what's a very common start to the middle name Michael?
I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, it is actually very common first name.
Common first name. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I love this.
You might even hear Eagles fans call people this. A person, place, or a thing.
What fans? Oh, Eagles.
Eagles fans might call a person, place, or a thing this. Spelled differently, but sounds the same.
Okay, yeah. Is it John?
It's a John.
Nice job. It's a John.
It's a John.
Well done.
You got me on that.
Yep. Shane, well done. We'll put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Yep, you too. There you go. It's Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. $25 we give away to Johnny's Tavern when we play Sports or Leisure, when you get a sports question and a leisure question right. Hey, don't forget all day today at Dairy Queen, they have their Miracle Treat Day. $1 or more from every Blizzard treat sold, donated to your local member hospital of Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. So go check that out. Throughout the day today, it is at Dairy Queen, any Blizzard that you buy.
Eat ice cream for the kids.
That's what I've always said. So there you go. I think we have some breaking news.
Break it.
Breaking news. Freddie Fermin is no longer a Royal. He has been traded to the guess which team?
Padres.
San Diego Padres have acquired Freddie Fermin for right-hander Ryan Bergert. Anybody know anything about Ryan Bergert? The number 9 prospect in the Padres organization, 6th-round pick in 2021.
I don't even know how you spell Bergert.
B-E-R-G-E-R-T. Underwood Tommy John that wiped him out in 2021, I mean.
2.78 ERA this year.
That's in the minors, or even with San Diego as well.
Yes.
So there you go. Ryan Bergert for Freddie Fermin.